SMTN.
How's it going, everybody, and welcome to Shin Megami Tensei Network Link 366. I'm your host with hopefully minimal amounts of background noise, but failing in the process, Spencer Presley. Joining me is a very special twofer guest episode. Guest number one, to my knowledge, has not been on the podcast yet, but maybe you've snuck on in the background or found your way to root your ways into the seed of the SMT network. But I've got Bubbletea here. Bubbletea, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. No, I don't think. No, I've definitely haven't been on this podcast before. But,
I appreciate that you thought about it, though.
Yeah.
You were like, is there a chance I could have, in a drunken stupor, maybe come on this?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I astral projected or something. I don't know.
We haven't done one in a very long time, but back when the news was less bad, but we still thought was pretty bad, we used to do fun town halls for when really dumb bullshit would happen. And there was one, probably our most viewed town hall we did, was the complete clusterfuck that was the SMT5 Collector Edition pre-orders, which is only extra hilarious by comparison of that game is over 4 years old now, and you can still buy that thing under MSRP. They just printed it into the ground.
Oh.
But before I go into our next guest, I have to ask, because I figured if anyone's going to actually have a chance of knowing what the heck I was talking about, it might be you. Bubbletea, as your name probably hints on, I assume you're a fan of boba.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Okay. Were you able to try the Metaphor boba collab last year?
Yeah, I was. In fact, when I got there, well, first of all, they told me oh yeah, those are just our normal flavors, and then you get like the Metaphor stickers with
Hell
them.
Hell yeah, that's all I'm there for.
Apparently, I feel like I was probably the only person to ask about that collab because they had a whole stack of sticker sheets, and then they just gave me a whole ass sheet.
Oh my god!
And it didn't. I get the feeling I'm the first person who even asked about it.
That's funny. Do you live in a pretty populated area or no? Without doxing yourself too much, I only ask because I've heard that story from so many people, and I find it so funny because I live in not a small part of town, but I'm in the most populated part of Kansas there is, and my wife works for Kung Fu Tea. And so when I found out that they were doing that collab even before it had started, I was like, "Oh, bro, I'm gonna steal so many of these stickers." And people came in droves for this thing. I was so impressed. They do collabs sometimes, and sometimes they're big, sometimes they're small. They just did one with Monster Hunter a month or two ago. Nobody cared. Nobody could have given less of a shit about Monster Hunter collabing with a boba tea shop. But Metaphor, everyone showed the fuck up for. I was very impressed.
Oh yeah, complete 180. I don't think my area is not it's not big city populated type of shit, you know. Okay. It's just yeah.
Now, guest number 2, we're also joined today, maybe bubble tea enthusiast number 2, you never know. We're joined once again by Nam from Nam's Compendium. Nam, do you remember the last time you were on this show?
Oh my goodness, I think it was 3 to 4 years ago.
I'm going to shock you. It was so long ago that on the episode you were on, we live filled out the "What did we think of Nocturne HD?" Yeah. the consumer.
Oh, it was just before 5 came.
Oh yeah,
out?
It was that long ago in 2021. We filled out. As you can tell, slow news day. We filled out at one of those "What did you think of this Atlus release?" surveys together.
Oh yeah, I remember filling that out. I couldn't remember if it was before or after SMT5 came out, but oh my goodness, that was so long ago. That was when I made my P5 video.
Yeah, damn, that would have been around then. I still can't believe that it's been that long and we're just now getting the second one of those PS2 ports. Which, like,
they had to try really hard this time. They knew. They knew.
It was funny. Like, I mean, listen, I enjoyed you. I enjoyed you on the podcast. It was just a shame that we said we're not allowed to invite you on until they announce another subpar PS2 remake.
Oh, he's calling it right now. He's already calling it subpar.
Oh no.
No, I'm very excited. I'm very excited about what they should call Raito Remastered and the Soulful remake. But no, what's funny about it is because, yeah, like with how slapdash Nocturne was, everyone just kind of thought, well, we didn't love Nocturne HD, but it was good enough. So just I'm sure they'll poop out the other 4 quickly, and then here we are 4.5 years later.
It's funny that you mentioned the Soulful remake because I was talking with Bubbletea and some of our other friends recently, and I straight up said, like, I call dibs. If this sucks, I'm going to call it Raito Kuzunohan the Soulless Remaster.
Well, what it should be is, and I mean, I think in the chance, especially with how much we've seen about the game, I'd be very shocked if it was bad, but it would be really funny if instead of just one of you calling dibs, everybody in the community just says, okay, guys, whether you're doing it on review or not, we're all just as a community going to title it the same thing and just completely fuck everyone's SEO.
Oh my god.
But to bring it back, yeah, it does look pretty good. Like I'm really looking forward to that game.
Yeah, it's hilariously. Yeah, I guess it's probably my third most anticipated game of June. Which is, I don't know what happened, but June decided to just be the month of insanity, where it's like, we've got Switch 2, Mario Kart, Death Stranding 2, and Raito Remaster.
That's crazy. Raito being one of the first Switch 2 games as well, that's going to be really cool. Because I tend to avoid Switch versions of games. The only time I made the exception was Dragon Quest III Remake, because I wanted to own it physically. And I figured may as well just get the Nintendo version, right? But Raito getting a Switch 2 version where I presume it runs at 60 frames per second, like the other ones, that's going to be really good. Like, as like a handheld game, that's going to be great.
I hope they really overcompensate, actually, and are like, well, because the Switch 2 has a 120 FPS screen, it's going to be the only way to play it, like, handheld-wise, without a PC at 120, and I'm like, sure. Just go real stupid ham on it, but I'm sure it won't. I do want to get into what you guys think of Raito Remastered in a little bit for it, but because we're all really, really terrible at intros here, which is part of the shtick, the 13-year-old shtick of this show. Bubbletea, we're going to throw it back to you for it. For anyone out there who does not know you as someone who apparently likes boba tea, has been to a kung fu tea at least once, and lives in a not small but not big part of town, would you like to tell us about you if we do not know who you are?
Okay, well, I make videos on, like, mostly Persona and SMT. I really want to talk more about, like, SMT stuff. So I've been trying to sort of, like, Trojan horse integrate more SMT stuff into my videos. Like, it's kind of weird because, like, a big chunk of my audience, like, primarily just watches for Persona. They're and, like, a surprising number of them, like, aren't really huge SMT heads. So it's just so I kind of have to lump in SMT with a Persona whenever I want to like bring that shit up.
So your Raito review will actually be titled Raito Remastered, the Persona Soulless remake that's actually really good, but is probably not like Persona, but please check out the review anyways. Oh, there's the 100 character limit.
You just have to compare it to like Persona 4 Golden on PC, or just say,
hold on,
guys...
I've got the clickbait headline that will make everyone really mad, but then you'll still get the views for it. Raito Remastered, Persona 5 Strikers 2? Question mark, exclamation point?
Oh no!
Oh yeah. That's the
Did
one.
you know these
We
games
found a
take
winner.
place in Japan? They're practically related. There's a black cat.
Oh my god, yeah, you're right. It's Green-Eyed Morgana.
I
Yeah.
hope we come full circle since those prior to SMT5 days where people thought Shohei Yakumo was a Kuzunoha.
Oh God.
And people will assume that Raido is not a Kuzunoha. He's a police officer just like Shohei was.
I'm sure there's just
Oh my god.
some really cursed timelines out there. I mean, what's funny is like, so Bubbletea, while like looking at your like recent videos and stuff, especially, I don't normally like to view shame here, but this is actually viewer shame of view shaming. I now personally have beef with at least, let's see, at least 45,000 of your subscribers, because apparently only fucking 5K of your audience wanted to watch your metaphor video about Best Girl Yufa.
Oh my god, real, Yufa, best girl.
Like,
finally.
like, listen, guys, we're not asking for 100% retention rate, but like, these numbers are just sending the wrong message to the community.
Yeah, it's telling them that they don't heart Yufa like I do.
Well,
'Cause
again, going
my
back to
thumbnail
how do
says,
we
"I heart
ruin
Yufa."
your video but also get it more clicks, just change the title and thumbnail to, instead of a crash course on Yufa, Metaphor Refantasio, say, is this the new Chie, Metaphor Refantasio's best girl?
Oh good lord.
Let's see, because, yeah, you've been, along with, yeah, just doing, like, a lot of just Atlus videos in general for it. How long have you been doing YouTube for?
Holy shit. It's been like, dude, I think I'm closing in on like 5 years actually. Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know if it's your first, but at least the oldest video you have uploaded is the Everyone Hates Yukari.
Yeah. Times were very different back then because like
I mean, your
because,
thumbnail
like,
has
you look at-
bitch
you look at-
lasagna on there. If they needed to be time stamped enough, I thought that was a good way to
a good indication of the time period. Yes.
Man, I don't know. That might be more embarrassing that I remember bitch lasagna more than that was on the thumbnail.
No, like no, bitch lasagna. That was a good meme for a bit.
Holds up, man. I remember. No one will ask me, but we can always at least say I know where I was during the T-Series PewDiePie sub wars. I remember what I was doing.
You were subscribing to PewDiePie.
Yeah, exactly. No, we were on the right side of history there. But yeah, so that's pretty funny. Yeah, you've been doing it for not even 5 years with it. What would you kind of say for someone who's not watched any of your videos, outside of the fact that you lean towards a lot of like Persona stuff or just Atlus things in general? Would you say, like, do you feel like you do more like video essays, more just kind of like whatever sort of pops up? Because it definitely kind of jumps from various sizes of like 15-minute videos to like 45-minute to 2-hour videos. Like, what's your kind of like go-to description of how you would say your channel is like, or the videos you make?
Okay, so I would say I lean a bit more towards like the video essay side of things, with sort of obviously ranging times, you know, they vary depending on the topic. Like only like every so often, like I'll do like a long ass retrospective video that'll go into like the hour long range. I think my only fucking 2-hour long video was the Persona 3 retrospective, but like yeah, beside the point. I think like currently at the moment, I kind of want to focus on sort of like these little miscellaneous one-off topics, you know, kind of like the last video I uploaded, the problem with physical and SMT and Persona. I also had like another idea kind of sitting in my head right now where I just sort of talk about like fucking outfits in Persona. Persona fashion sense. Not that I'm like the authority on fashion whatsoever. Like, but I don't know. I like just sometimes I'll just like think up of a top like some like completely meaningless topic and then just sort of like extrapolate on it for like the better part of like 15 to 20 minutes.
Well, ironically, I'm guessing what you mean when you say that is like looking at like the clothes and the style and everything of like the Persona games that they wear. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So my dumb brain would go look at a title like that and be like, "Oh my God, we're finally talking about costumes, the most overhated and underrated part of Atlus games of history." Of like, I remember back in the day, man. I used to love how stupid Persona 3 and 4's costumes were, and I remember the largest chip on my shoulder about how P5 ruined that for so many games, and it's like, listen, say what you will about P3R, they at least had the cojones to throw in the fun, dumb costumes again.
Oh yeah, stuff like the what was it?
I feel probably P3...
But shirt of chivalry. Like, that's supposed to be like a joke costume, apparently.
Oh, see, I imagine I thought you were just going to go with the battle armor or like the I think that's what it's called. The one where it's all the girls basically.
Oh, the battle armor.
Yeah. The world's worst protective armor for all the female party members.
Oh, the battle panties.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, battle panties. I was like, battle armor sounds a little too not on the nose. Yeah, battle panties was what it was for everyone. That was the funny one of, I remember everyone was like, oh, they're totally going to remove this in the remake. And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's too iconic. It's literally in the opening of Persona 3 Fest, ain't it?
No, yeah, that's true. Although I always like to refer to the opening of Fez as YouTube's first attempt at putting a AMV in a video game opening, because I feel like calling that an opening is it's a little not fair.
It's awesome.
It's at no qualms of the opening itself, but it's like if you looked at the budget that went into the opening animation of P3 and then looked at the opening movie of Fez,
and look at the music video they made.
Yeah, it's like, oh, so like you spent all the money, so there's no animation budget, huh? So, like you said, you just done a video recently, the like physical one, and I'll have everybody's socials linked below for the show notes of everyone to kind of check everything out with it. Nom, it's been like we mentioned, Bubbletea's entire YouTube career since you were last on the show. In that time, have you been making any fun or terrible videos you'd like to share with us?
I made this really well-received, universally beloved video about Persona 3 Reload that we all like.
Yes.
No one took issue with whatsoever. And anyway, so what I like to do is, like, you asked Bubbletea if he likes to make video essays, and I guess I kind of can say yeah, but mostly I just like to chronicle my experiences with playing video games, and mostly just talking about my thoughts. Like, as much as I frame it as, like, I used to literally put the, like, keywords, like, review and analysis, really, I'm just talking about what I thought about something, like, in a way that I find makes sense anyways.
Well, I would definitely agree. What I do find it funny you threw yourself under the bus for the P3R video. My go-to for you, at least in terms of if we're throwing you under the bus, still has to be the juxtaposition, hilariously so, of it's time to move on from Persona 5, followed up by, hey guys, you want to talk about Persona 5?
You know what's funny about that? Literally, that was Adam's idea.
No, and that was, because, yeah, like, when he had told me that you were going to do a video talking about Memento's mission, I was like, oh, awesome, there will now be 6 of us playing. 6 of us who've read this. I thought it was really, really funny, but I hadn't seen or known what your last video was, so comparing it was like...
It is hilarious. It is such a... Like, I see people post the screenshots sometimes of the 2 videos back to back. I think it's so funny. It is the most, like earnesty combined with I have to make a P5 video. Like, I did like Memento's mission though. I thought it was really good.
Well, I think like the only way it was possibly more on the nose, whether it be intentional or not, was that it wasn't like you were you were perplexed of like, oh my god, I just can't stop thinking about this manga. It's so great. I've got to read it. It's like, well, I fortunately had the opportunity to do an Atlus sponsored Persona video after I just made a video saying I'm done talking about Persona 5.
It was so funny.
The only
I
way
wanted
it could
to
be
keep it
better
in
is
theme
if like
and
you
on
got
brand
that
because
email
there's
for the sponsorship from Atlus after the video, and they're like, "Hey, we loved your last video. Do you want to talk about Persona 5 some more?"
Yeah, they were like, you want to like do an integration for Persona 5 Tactica? It's like, of course, I like Atlus games. I want to promote them, and it's and I just didn't know what to put it on because it was a really short time frame, and I didn't know what to do. And Adam just said, "Why don't you talk about Mementos Mission? It's good." I was like, okay, and I read it. I really liked it. I wasn't really thinking about like the full context because at that point in time, I remember just being very like, I got to make like a bunch of shit right now because I'm really busy.
Do you because I know you did the one for Tactica. Bubble, have you done any like sponsored videos like through Atlus or anything like that?
Um, the only sponsored Atlus video, or the only time Atlus sponsored me for a video was the UFA video. Uh,
Oh
they have
shit!
they-
Hold
but they
on.
have-
Were you? Oh yeah, because then this is what I wanted to actually bring up. Were you one of the people who got brought into the campaign randomly like a month ago? Of like Atlas hit a bunch of content creators and were like, guys, we need to throw money at people to tell them to buy our game from 4 months ago.
Yeah, like, I was one of those people.
That's so fun. You
like,
sound very
I
happy
was-
about it, by the way. A very happy sponsorship, clearly.
I was like pretty. I was actually pretty happy because low key, like I've tried collaborating with Atlus before, and it was just kind of like, and then like they just, well, okay, they didn't ghost me. They ghosted like the agents that I was like talking
Oh
to
yeah, because yeah,
about
they
it.
go through the other company who will not be named until they give me any money. I would say any more money, but I've received 0 monies. What was so
More
funny
money.
about that collab? Because I know you did one, and I know at least Gnarly did one. Name, did you do a metaphor? Did you get hit up for that or no?
Not for the character one, but the video I made like the day Metaphor came out, the one that posted like right then, that was sponsored, but that turned out really well for me because I was already kind of writing about the demo, and then halfway through they asked if I wanted to make a video for when the game comes out. I said, okay, I'm already making this on the demo, like these things that. Because I saw a lot of people online talking about like, oh, Metaphor is just Persona, blah blah blah. Like, you know, like it's not unique enough, and I didn't really agree with that. So I wanted to make a video kind of highlighting the differences between these games. And then it turns out Atlus was like, oh, can you make a video talking about Metaphor? I was like, well, I'm already doing that. So I sent them the script I had, and they said I could keep it. So that turned out really well. So it's more so I made a video and they happened to sponsor it.
That's really funny. So, like, when I found out about the most recent one, I even made a tweet with, like, the image of it. Have you guys, like, seen the, like, meme from, I think it's, like, We Are the Millers or whatever, where I think it's Will Porter's character. He's, like, they're all going, like, oh, you're getting paid for this? You're, like, how much are you getting paid for this? And then he's just like, wait, you guys are getting paid? And I was like, motherfucker, I'm very aware that I get like no sponsorships ever, and I don't hold a grudge against that. It's only when it's funny. I'm like, it's like the most unrelated to anything news-wise possible. It's like it's out of the marketing cycle. It was the most thing, and I'm like, man, I just uploaded like a 7-hour spoiler cast about this fucking game. Like, you could have sent me an email, and be like, hey dog, do you want like a season pass DLC code? Be like, you got it, buddy. You got it, boss. I'll sell my soul.
Now's the time. It's the Rido hours, so now's the time.
I mean, the Rido was. It's funny because like I've been out of the email chains for so long with doing stuff, and what's funny is like I know how sponsorship deals kind of generally work in. At least with like video games or even like parties outside of it for like other channels. The funny one is like with the Atlus stuff is there's so many weird hoops that usually kind of get tied to it or other things for it. Like I always tell people one of my favorite memories was I had a long email thread circa like 2017, and then I think it finally ended in 2019, of Atlus basically blue-balling me of like, all right, we're going to do an interview. Okay, hold on, we got to wait. Okay, now we're going to do the interview. All right, we got to give your questions over to Japan. Okay, Japan took 3 months to get back to us. Japan would not like to have an interview with you anymore.
No.
And it's like, I always like to joke that like this show has to be like some miserable intern at Atlus Japan just has to listen to this and be like, okay, they know about this. They don't know about this. Okay, all right, and then they just have to report back. It's like we've clearly upset them enough to not ever want to work with us, but not enough that they can justifiably end the show. I always put it out there. I would be a very cheap janitor. All they would have to do is hire me, and that's the quickest way to canceling this show. Because you know that no employee would be allowed to do a show like this.
Yeah.
So, this was completely unplanned. I would ask 1.5 million questions, but I'm only going to ask the one that I really want to know, especially because there's two of you with a similar thing for it. If either of you want to answer it, great. If not, totally fine. I would love to know, even if you can't give specific numbers, are you at liberty to say how much the sponsored video deals were for? Because those always fascinate me.
I don't know how much anyone else got paid.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you knew that, that's the more depressing part. I did a group sponsorship video once, and it was funny because everyone who was doing the videos for the same mobile game, and it was like, oh, well, I got paid this much. How much did you get paid? I got paid this much. And it was funny because it was all, like, clearly based on size. It was not like, oh, well, this person likes you more. Because it's less what you're putting out and more how big is your audience. That's kind of the thing that, like, at least for me, I use that as a way of not taking it personally. It's like, because my online presence is not large subscriber-wise, especially, I've been very interested of, like, Atlus themselves, they didn't care about this as much, especially way back in the day, but especially now, it's very funny about how they are so interested in YouTube or Twitch subscribers more than anything. So, like, we have listener-wise and community-wise, I would say, average active users around the, like, I would say 25 to 30K. But because it's not like, oh, they're all on YouTube or they're all on Twitch, and it's split across so many different avenues, it doesn't really make a sexy number for them. Versus, like, you guys, it's like, I just do YouTube. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
But Nam, do you either recall or do you feel at liberty for sharing that? Like I said, no pressure if you don't. I always find that stuff super interesting.
I won't give exact numbers, but I will say you're kind of on the right track with how these companies kind of figure out the budget for each creator, where they look at sort of their active viewership in like the last certain amount of time. It's like some arbitrary number, like last 7 videos or whatever, and then they just kind of like figure out what the average of that would be and how much they'd be willing to spend on something to get that average view count.
That's what I found so funny, especially about the most recent Metaphor video, because a lot of the times when Atlus has been doing paid videos for creators, it's tied to a tangible kind of number, you know? Not a tangible number, like a tangible thing of like, pre-orders just went live, we want people to start pre-ordering, or we want people to start wish listing, or we want them to like check out the demo. And that was the funny thing with the Metaphor campaign is, like, Atlus gave every creator, like, here's your special creator link, put this in the bottom of your video, and it's like, how do you even follow if that person already owned it, maybe downloaded the demo, did that? Like, that's why, like, that one especially, marketing-wise, I'm like, clearly someone must have just had a random surplus in the budget and was like, hey, guys, let's just burn this, like, 25K on a couple of sponsored videos, because it's like, I just don't know how they made any money on that campaign. Because it was like the funny thing about the metaphor, and at least for me, and if you guys disagree, I at least feel like it's the weirdest thing to do that after award season. Like, Metaphor's been out for months, and it's not even like, oh, a game is old. It's been in the, like, discussion because of awards, I feel like. Literally, even like a week ago, it just won a BAFTA. Like, it just keeps winning awards, having GDC talks. They're doing a bunch of merch and stuff and everything in Japan. And so that's why, like, I find it really, really funny of just being like, yeah, no offense, the best marketing Metaphor has is Metaphor.
Yeah, I do believe that campaign for the character videos came out around the time the game was on sale.
They were like,
Yeah, it was to help promote the sale, is what they told me.
I only count $70 sales. Everything else down the gutter. We only count when we're paying our $80 Mario Karts over here. That's the only sales we're looking for. But that's...
Oh yeah, I just looked at the Steam page for the game. The first trailer has now been changed to one that just goes over accolades, basically.
Oh yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I'm not surprised on that one at all with it. The other interesting one with it is, and this will kind of get into news as well, but like I wanna still finish up a little bit of like an intro thing with it, but we're obviously still all over the place. One of the things I thought was so interesting people didn't talk about outside of us memeing on it was how many people do you think actually realized how big of a deal it was that they released that Persona 3 demo last week?
Because
I feel
probably
because I assumed
the most I ever saw about that was just people kind of like making fun of that it came out after so long.
So for you two, I assume you were not very bored or stoned out of your minds and did not download a demo for a game both of us have already all played.
Yeah, I didn't download
no.
the demo. I heard that it went to the first full moon boss, so I was just like, whatever. Like, it's probably just like the first chunk of it's probably like the Metaphor demo.
So
that's what I just assumed it was.
What's interesting is, I thought a couple of different things before playing it and then after. I didn't play it to completion, but I did download it to take a look. And there's a couple of interesting things. Number one is there was already a publicly released demo of P3R the year before it came out. They took it to a couple of different shows. I think New York Comic Con was like the first place in the West you could have played it, but a lot of places, especially in like Europe, it was at Gamescom as well, and like TGS and a bunch of other stuff. There was a specific demo for like checking out social stuff and then checking out like a dungeon. So there already was.
Yeah, there was.
Oh yeah.
I think there was one at PAX as well.
Yes, and so what was so funny about it was, I was like, oh, well, they've already had this demo ready to go. They'll just do that. And then seeing that they kind of copied the Metaphor one was even smarter. But then what is even more interesting is Metaphor, because that demo came together kind of quickly, is very much just, here is the full game, but we're sectioning off what you can do. There's a lot of stuff in that demo for the assets and everything for it if you take it apart. That will kind of spoil the game if you do it, but most people would never do that. But what's funny is P3R had all of that removed. It's like a 7 gig demo, like you said, up to the first main boss. But like that's still a big chunk of the game, especially like through, I would say, like the slowest part of that opening. And it's cool that your save data transfers over. And while I think like getting bang for your buck, they're probably not going to get too many sales for that demo. A lot of games don't do demos anymore, and they had such success with Metaphor last year directly because of that demo. It's been smart that they did it. I think a lot of people also skipped over the one for SMT5 Vengeance. That one came out not as long after the game, but that was another interesting one of, here's a demo, everything carries over, check it out. But that one never really had like a publicly released worldwide demo outside of a couple of events. And it's really cool that we're now back in this, because back in the day, Atlus and Sega, especially as a whole, they used to do demos all the time. And they were really, really good about, even if they didn't release them publicly, they were at least usually worldly accessible from, like, let's say if you download, like, probably one of the last big ones Atlus did was there was a demo for Catherine Full Body. And I remember playing that about 6 or 9 months before that came out in the West and stuff like that. And that was a pretty good demo, even though it was kind of a short one. Do either of you two remember why in the West they stopped doing demos for us?
No, I don't.
No, I know nothing about demos aside from I think the PS1 version of Soul Hackers 1 had a demo disc for Innocent Sin that was basically just the first dungeon and didn't even like include the first boss.
So, what's funny is I had mentioned Atlus has a really good history of doing demos, even if they didn't do them in the West. Atlus Japan had never stopped doing demos. I think the only game that didn't really have a demo, and it kind of made sense out of their bigger stuff, was P5R. But a game like that, getting a demo for it is a lot more kind of technically challenging to do. I remember Persona 5 Strikers actually had a demo about a month or two before it released in Japan, which was extra funny because for the longest time, like, you guys remember how that game took us like a whole year to get finally in English?
Oh yeah.
I would always tell
forever.
people, I was like, hey, if you want to check out what this game plays like, just make a Japanese eShop account or a Japanese PlayStation account and check out this demo, because it's the first, like, hour or two of the game. It was a really beefy demo, even though nothing carried over, and it was a good way of checking out the gameplay for people who were curious. And in the West, without saying it, because it was really funny, of like, you could probably have inferred this, but when I always tell people this, they always kind of forget it happened or may not understand how big of a deal it is. What happened was Yakuza 6 released, I think, 2018, 2019? Let me take a look at this. Yakuza 6 released in the West 2016, so probably like 2017 in the West here. Let me double check on the release date here. Yeah, oh no, actually worldwide it was 2018. So, yes, because this was after Persona 5. So December of 2017, Yakuza, very famously, like almost all the main Yakuza games in the series always have a demo. And the Yakuza demos are very infamous for having a lot of the game's content put in the demo but not accessible. And for some reason, only in the English demo, they included the full game, and they forgot to put in the cutoff.
That's awesome.
So, 4 months early, thousands of people had Yakuza 6. Which, reminder, Yakuza 6 was like, this was after Yakuza 0 had really blown up, so we'd done 0, we'd done Kiwami 1 and 2. So 6 was this big PS4 exclusive that they were hyping up to be like their big game of 2018, and Sega just lost it legally to hundreds of thousands of people because the Western version forgot to put the demo block gate. And it's really
like when Tactica accidentally went public a week early.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, hey, yeah, they're keeping the tradition alive in various ways, from like Instagram leaks to just big oopsies. And what's funny about it is, it was kind of a big deal at the time, but I think because it was like in between very universally like loved Yakuza games, people probably didn't think it was that big of a deal. But from knowing people who were working directly with Sega and Atlus at the time, Japan literally put them in timeout for years. Japan put a company-wide mandate saying, Atlus West and Sega West, unless anything crazy happens, you are never allowed to put out a public demo on like digital sharing networks until we say otherwise. And that didn't change until, for Atlus, the crazy one is Atlus probably didn't change that until, I think, Metaphor? I don't think we had any other English one for the longest time until Metaphor. I might be forgetting one or two, but we missed out on Catherine, Strikers, any other ones they could have done. There was a really beefy 13 Sentinels demo that Japan actually sold, and we missed out on that over here, which was funny. And it just led to this like big long thing of like great demos that never left Japan, which is crazy.
You said that they sold the 13 Sentinels demo. How much were they charging for that?
So the 13 Sentinels demo is a funny one. You can actually get it as like a physical disc, and there were 3 ways to play it. If you bought a reissued like greatest hits version of Odin Sphere, Dragon's Crown Pro, or it by itself, or you could just do it as a digital download. I think, especially just because the yen's fallen off really hard in the meantime, I think at the time it was about like maybe $7 to $10. And this was about a year and a half, almost 2 years before the game actually finished. And this was one of those really funny things of like, Vanillaware always has this case of they put all their money into every game they make that they pretty much go broke by the time it gets released. 13 Sentinels was in development for so long that they were actually bankrupt before the game was done, or about to announce bankruptcy. So they, at TGS, or right before it, were like, hey, we have to put this demo out, and we have to charge for it. This is going into development of the game. If you buy this, nothing will transfer over, because the game is still really, really in development. So it was a non-transferable demo. I think it maybe had about an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of content. And I don't think there's anything drastically different. I played through it so long ago, but it was just really funny from the outside perspective, that was a funny one. I think if it was a bigger series, they probably would have gotten a lot of shit, similar to like Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. But because Vanillaware was just so upfront about it, just being like, no, like really, the only reason this demo came out and Odin Sphere got a PS4 port, sorry, not Odin Sphere, Dragon's Crown got a PS4 port very late, was because they went over budget with 13 Sentinels so much they didn't have enough money to finish the game.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Vanillaware is wild. Especially, I always like wish that they were bigger, but I'm always glad that every game that comes out always, if it doesn't do bigger than the last, at least always outdoes performance. Like, I think the sales probably fell off really quickly, or at least more quickly than they would have liked. Speaking of good demos, Unicorn Overlord had a great demo, and that helped with a lot of stuff with it as well. Unicorn Overlord didn't sell as well as 13 Sentinels, but because of the demo and the time that it was getting marketed and pushed, it sold over 1 million quicker than 13 Sentinels did. Yeah. I could talk way too long about like the intricacies and the weird histories of like game companies and demos, but it's always just a funny one for like, I don't know, I think like for me I almost have an interesting kind of attraction to game demos just because I was raised with demos almost more than games for the longest time. So like I just have so many demos kind of like ingrained into my mind. Like I always think of, especially back in the day, like for like PS2 demos, every issue of PlayStation Magazine came with a new demo disc, and I would basically eat up every single thing on there, even if I had not a single fucking interest in any of the games, just because it was a way to play a game you didn't own, and it felt like it was free.
Yeah, I remember my older brother had a PlayStation Underground subscription for the PlayStation 2. So we had this huge stack of demo discs. And there was like, what was really cool about those is that some of them had like save files that you can download in your memory card. Like I remember one of the PlayStation Underground discs we had a save file to unlock everything in Dragon Ball Z Budokai 1, and I used that to hell. Dang,
that would be super clutch, especially because getting everything on that one was always a pain in the butt. Yeah, I always forget about the memory card unlocks. That's like such a... the closest thing we have to that now is like, hey, thanks for playing the Elden Ring beta. Now when the game comes out, you'll get like an exclusive name tag. Like that's the closest we get.
You'll
nowadays.
Get an item that does nothing.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes I like that. Like sometimes I like the goofy little things for it, but it really can't ever be overstated enough. Especially going back to metaphor, like. There are some times, like, right place and right time, where a demo can just fucking take over the zeitgeist because it's free, everyone can play it, and if it's good, it just sucks up all the attention from everybody. Like, I remember for me, I was even like, I probably took a month to beat that Metaphor demo, just because I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I could burn through it, but because I knew all my save data was going to transfer, I was like, oh, sure, we'll just, like, I'll just, like, enjoy this like a fine wine until, like, October came.
It's shocking how much content is in that Metaphor demo.
Oh yeah.
Well, and what was crazy, too, was, remember, they announced it before TGS had opened. And they were like, hey, guys, you get the TGS demo available worldwide the next day. Because they announced it, like, the day before. And it's like, here you go. The game's out in a month. Here's this demo, and everything transfers over. It was like, everything about it was perfect. Like, they got such a home run with that demo in a way that, like, I always like tell people, like, if the dude who pushed for that demo didn't get a raise, like, something went horribly wrong. But demo talk aside, before we kind of get into this, because honestly, this will just kind of go into more of the stuff I wanted to ask both of you. What the heck have you guys been playing, whether it be video related or otherwise? Bubble, like, what have you been up to, or what have you been playing recently?
So literally yesterday I finished, what was it? Great Ace Attorney 1.
Oh, nice.
So like the first half of it. And let's see what else. Been playing a lot of Kingdom Hearts lately. I'm currently on, I've like, what's the word? I've like reawakened something in me.
Now,
Like,
hold on, is this your
Kingdom
first
Hearts...
time with Kingdom Hearts?
No. I've been playing Kingdom Hearts, okay, well, my first Kingdom Hearts game was like Chain of Memories on the Game Boy Advance, and I played that in like middle school, but like my first time playing like 1 or 2 was just like in like 2016. So yeah, I've been playing these games for a while. It's just that I've been replaying them, and like these like there's no other way to describe it. They're just so good. Like I actually I have to make videos on these at some point.
Well, I've got some bad news for you, because I'm sure you don't know this, but I do not...
It's not Persona, I know.
No, worse. I do not keep this a very well-kept secret at all. It probably trades spots. In terms of relevancy, it might be up there. That's like first, second place of like favorite video game series of all time for me. Above even Persona, SMT, and all that. Kingdom Hearts is such like my shit in a way that like it should be probably labeled like an addiction or a problem at that point. Like since game 1, how into it I've been. The only one that like sometimes kind of can tiptoe over it, for the longest time it was always Metal Gear was number 1, but Metal Gear has been so not relevant for a long time that like Kingdom Hearts probably I would be realistic and say has the key over it, but trust me, Kingdom Hearts is probably one of those series that, and I do this with almost no other series outside of Metal Gear, where I'll be like, damn man, it's been 12 months, I should just do a full series playthrough again, for no reason. It's like, I'll just get in these weird moods where I was like, you know, I never got the platinum for Birth by Sleep on PS3. I should really hate myself and just play all those awful fucking minigames and get the platinum. And then I do it. And then I look at myself and I go, you know what, in 12 months, I bet I'll do this again on PS4. And that's my plan. I'll do that one day. I'll hate it, but I'll do it.
Yeah, you get to fight Mysterious Figure again with Terra for like the 5th time or something. I don't know.
That one, you know what's funny? That fight is terrible, pun intended. But once you kind of do it once, you at least sort of learn it, so it becomes less terrible every time you do it. But like that
is true.
But like, listen, as much as I love fucking Fortune Street and minigames, like the Fortune Street knockoff in Birth by Sleep is such hot garbage ass. I wish it was fun, but it's so bad and it's so slow.
Oh yeah, the command board stuff like that. Like literally, like you have to do that stuff to unlock all of the
that's the only way to get Pete
in the Mirage Arena.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually true. I would probably rather do the only inner circle of hell worse than Nam having to listen to us talk about this is when I found out that you had to do command board, But if you don't do it in the Mirage Arena, you're fucking yourself and have to do it all over again twice. That's its own like extra like fuck you level that game.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so you can do command boards anytime you want. But if you want to get...
Yeah, I know that, but like there's a separate track for doing in the Mirage
that's the worst
Arena?
part. They're all the same, you're only in your costumes, but there's medals tied to doing command board in the Mirage Arena. So if you don't do them in the Mirage Arena, you have to do them all over again in that one location to unlock specific medals and achievements.
Wow.
Yeah, those games were not designed to be platinum. like the trophy lists get a lot better once like they stop making you have to 100% the journal stuff, because it's like it can get real bad in some of them. But for the most part, like that's like the funny thing with those games is like every time I platinum them, even if like they get the really dumb awful trophies, Kingdom Hearts still has one of those things of like they're fun to play, they're great to replay. Really good combat balancing for the most part. Always interesting. Music's great. And fantastic to speedrun. I love speedrunning Kingdom Hearts, and I like that's one of the few ones like I'll watch people like speedrun that. I watch a lot of speedrun content, but for RPGs, a lot of RPG speedruns can get really boring. Kingdom Hearts is not one of those for some reason.
Oh, I used to watch Kingdom Hearts 2 speedruns. Like, yeah, like the speedrun tech is kind of insane for that game.
Yeah, for the longest time, it was like Kingdom Hearts 2 speedruns were just like weird background noise for me just for months and months on end.
So, Spencer, what would you say your favorite one is?
Fuck, that's such a Sophie's choice. I feel like, honestly, it can really change. It's probably gotta be, and don't laugh at me because this is true, if I'm being honest... Oh, fuck, that's hard. If I'm being honest, it's gotta be 2 Final Mix, but specifically Final Mix. That being said, though, for the longest time, I would have given it on any other day to Chain of Memories, and there's even a dangerous like part of me that wants to give way too many points to Bubbletea Memories, because I'm such a rhythm game sicko that when that came out, I was like, this is the gold standard of like rhythm game musics, like how to do a rhythm game with a new story. Just put every song in the series basically in here, and there's no DLC. It was like. That could not have been more Spencer bait if possible. And what was funny too about the Kingdom Hearts rhythm game is people probably forget, but it came out the day the PS5 came out. And I remember I was the only guy when I went to go pick up my PS5 who was like, I got a copy of Demon Souls, Spider-Man, and what's the first thing you're gonna play? Nah, fuck that new shit. I'm playing a Unity rhythm game for Kingdom Hearts first. While this game runs 0% better. Hell, you know what actually was funny? It was so bad, I even bought the Switch version when Sora came to Smash just because you got that one song in the game if you owned Bubbletea Memories.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, there's like an exclusive arrangement of, I think it's Dearly Beloved, when Sora got added. If you have a save file, you got an exclusive song, and it was funny too because it was actually like made specifically for Smash. It wasn't like they took a song from the game, which I thought was such a Sakurai flex. I was like, I ate that shit up so much. The last dumb Kingdom Hearts flex, I'll tell you, just to let you know how brain rotten I am. Do you guys remember Disney Infinity?
Yeah. Oh, did you get the Mickey with the keyblade?
I was not at D23 when that happened, but I was already really into the Disney Infinity community. I played that on my Vita, one of the 5 people who played Disney Infinity on the Vita. When they announced that they were handing that out and it was only at D23, there were 2 things I did. I hit up my friend who worked for Disney, ironically, at the time, and I was like, is this actually never going to be put on sale? Because, sometimes they'll do the, hey, we're giving this convention exclusive, and then 6 months later it shows up at a store. And he was like, no, we legally cannot sell this King Mickey costume disc. We had to give it away. And I was like, cool. And I basically, I think I like went up to my dad because I had no money at the time, and I probably could have waited or maybe got a better deal. I don't even remember what he paid for it, but I told my dad about it because my birthday was around the same time, and I was like, Dad, here's a link to a guy on eBay who's selling it for like $100. Please buy me this stupid plastic disc. And you know what? He had no questions. He was like, is that what you want? Sure. Go for it. And I still have that disc. I have like the little plastic bag. Like the dude who sent it to me literally gave me like everything that they gave away at that panel. And I thought there was no bigger flex, because the other funny thing with Disney Infinity is if you had every character from 3.0, you could unlock the Keyblade. And I was like, there is no bigger flex than playing as King Mickey in his Kingdom Hearts costume in Disney Infinity. And now when I say that out loud, I realize it's actually just pushing any woman who might have been interested in me very far away. But God bless it, my wife did not care, but she at least didn't hold it against me. But yeah, I unfortunately fuck with Kingdom Hearts way too hard. That and Final Fantasy.
And Nick, I know, or Nam, I know you didn't ask me, but
yeah, couldn't help but notice you only asked one of us.
You already know what my favorite one is. Like Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, like
yeah, because you like the best one. That's the
well,
thing.
you know what's fucked?
Yeah,
I don't want to start this conversation. I love KH3, and I loved KH3 pre-Final Mix, which I know is its own can of worms.
I thought it was fine when it first came out. I thought it was alright.
I'm ready. I don't even know.
I really like Remind, though. Remind was a lot of fun.
Remind is fantastic, but honestly, like I think about it every now and then, especially because we had the anniversary of the announcement recently, and I'm like, Spencer, you know, at any point I could wake up one day, because I expect that at least both of these should happen this year. I think to myself sometimes, and I'm like, there's a day where I'm gonna wake up, and there will not only be a new GTA 6 trailer, but I will also wake up one day and there will be a Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer. And I'm like, that doesn't feel real. Like, those two sentences, I know they're being made, but it's like, I can't believe I live in a world where that's going to happen. It's fucking insane. But yes, the Kingdom Hearts Takeover podcast could happen at any moment, and anyone's ready for it, but I appreciate the audience that never complains about it. I remember once when Phantom Pain came out, we literally did a takeover podcast. We were like, fuck Persona, fuck SMT, Phantom Pain just came out, we're going to talk about Phantom Pain for 3 hours, and no one complained. We were like, listen guys, we're all playing fucking Phantom Pain, whether we want to or not. So that was the world's longest tangent, unfortunately, just because you put that out there. I don't even know if you had said why. Bubble, why are you playing Kingdom Hearts?
Well, I just got like the PC versions,
yeah.
and I was just kind of like, oh yeah, I get to play all these games again. They're so fun, and it was just like, honestly, I've always wanted to make a Kingdom Hearts video at some point, and I was just kind of thinking to myself, yeah, I think now is at least the time to at least like replay the game's record footage, that kind of thing.
And Nom, I forget with it. You've also played all of them, correct?
Yeah, I've played all of them.
Okay. The last thing we're going to say, we're going to put this out there as just we're going to set it, forget it, and ask no questions. You both have to score on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being trash, 5 being god tier. Where do you put Recoded? Not the cutscenes. Not the cutscenes, by the way. The gameplay.
No, yeah. Like so I played Recoded on a DS emulator with keyboard controls. But
Garbage. The worst way to play.
But here's the thing, though. Even then, like with like the terrible control scheme I was running with, I still thought the game was genuinely pretty solid, especially for spin-off territory, and I'm pretty sure Nam would also agree with me that like Recoded is actually genuinely a pretty solid game.
Yeah, like I don't really care about the story that much of Recoded, but the combat of that game is actually fire. Like it's so good. The combat's actually so good.
God bless you both for failing miserably at giving me a 1 through 5 as your answer and then moving on. I appreciate that.
I said 3.
Okay. Bubble, where are you throwing it?
Yeah, I would also give it like a 3.
Okay. I'd say 3 is the correct answer. My heart gives it a 3.5, but if I have to give it solid numbers, I give it a 4. I will not explain further until the Kingdom Hearts Recoded spoiler cast that no one asked for comes out next year.
Yeah, if I'm allowed to give half numbers, 3.5, closer to a 3 than a 4, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I think my actual backlog score for it was like a 3.5. So yeah.
All I know is we can all universally agree it's way more fun to play than Days. I love Days, but fuck playing Days. That game, that is my least replayed Kingdom Hearts game of all time.
Who plays Goofy? Fight Riku.
I like to
God,
only play as
fucking
Pizza
Goofy.
Slice Axel. That's the only that's the only one I do. Because of that tangent and my fear of how long this will go, we're now going to move over. Now, what are you playing? And please tell me it's not Metal Gear Solid.
It's not Metal Gear Solid. I've been playing the Devil May Cry reboot from 2013
Hey!
a lot lately.
All right.
That new anime came out, and I did not like it like much at all. And the one thing I will give credit to that show is that it inspired me to play these games again. It also gave me more motivation to talk about them again because it's been a few years since I made a video on any of them. And a lot of that had to do with me just not knowing what to say about the reboot. But now I've been playing through it more again, and I've been playing the other games too. And I don't mind the reboot that much when it comes to like playing it. Like I think it's pretty fun.
I'm a Dante defender. I liked 3, and I'm going to tie this back into Disney Infinity. Watch you believe it. Did you know that after Ninja Theory did DMC, they were hired to Disney Infinity 2.0 and 3.0 because the director of that game loved the combat from DMC so much he wanted them to add that into Disney Infinity. And that's why
Really?
No joke. Before Disney Infinity 2.0, the only combat was your character would maybe punch forward or shove forward. And then when DMC came out in 2012, the director of Disney Infinity was so in love with Ninja Theory's combat, he hired them on, so all of the combat systems for all the Marvel characters, all the Disney characters, and all the like Star Wars characters afterwards were all developed by the same guy who did DMC's combat.
No way.
Insane. The legacy of those games, the legacy of those games is in fucking sane. It is not. It shouldn't be real.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you've not lived until you've seen someone doing a stinger air combo juggle loop with who's like the least expectable one with Hero from Big Hero 6. Like, if you just go through like a character profile or like combat tree, because they have full skill trees and combat tree unlocks as well. Like it's not a prominent community. There are combo videos of people playing Disney Infinity. It's very stupid.
You just see a combo mat of like Mr. Incredible.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It
God.
actually got really sick when they added Star Wars because then everyone had a lot more sword combat. That like 3.0 had the most crazy shit.
Whoa.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but aside from DMC Devil May Cry, I've been playing Final Fantasy 16, and I don't really like it that much. And I wish I did.
Wow, that's surprising. Speaking of DMC-like combat, did you not like? I guess what we compared about. How much of a 15 fan were you?
I played like up to chapter 4 when it first came out, like 2016 Final Fantasy 15, and then I just kind of fell off and I never went back to it.
That I'd be very curious what you like about it, but what is it like for 16? Is it the story? Is it the characters? Or is it the gameplay? Because for people, I know more people who like that game than don't like it, but the people who don't like it, I don't agree with them, but I definitely understand where they come from.
It's honestly both. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Clive Rossfield. I think he has a great voice. I think he has a cool design, but I don't find him to be that engaging as like a protagonist outside of like the initial hours before the whole before he joins Sid's crew. I did like the opening parts with Clive, but then I find that he kind of falls off like about 10 hours into the game, doesn't really have much to say or do. And when it comes to the combat, I can't stand cooldown timers.
Oh.
I hate action games with cooldown timers, and this game is literally like that. Like, it's basically all your moves are that.
You would
from,
fucking...
like, a select
I don't know
handful.
if you would ever even play it. You would absolutely hate South of Midnight. That is that whole game's problem. The whole combat in South of Midnight is the world's slowest cooldown timers. And when I mean slow, I mean 1 action per battle slow.
Oh, that's awful.
That was a bummer when I started playing that game, because like I liked a lot of it, and then I started playing and I was like, oh, this is what everyone meant when they said the combat's bad.
Yeah. I also think a big issue with 16 is that, like, half the enemies are just punching bags that don't really fight back, and the other half do fight back, but they only have, like, 4 attacks.
16's a weird blind spot for me, especially as like a lifelong Final Fantasy fan. I picked it up at launch. It came out at a really busy time for me. I was like pre-moving, pre-doing a bunch of stuff, and I think still jobless. So I remember I bought it, I played through pretty far in the beginning, and then right as I was about to play it was when 2024 started? Yeah, because it was 2023, and then the fucking onslaught of video games last year, and it was like, I looked at myself and I was like, am I going to play 16 or am I going to play Rebirth? And I picked Rebirth like a coward.
I haven't gotten a chance to play Rebirth yet.
Rebirth is really good, and so the fact that how different it is to 16, I'm really excited, especially now that the DLC is out. I'm like, probably my next game I'm gonna play is gonna, if not be 16, I still need to beat Alan Wake too. My backlog is so stupidly big, but 16 is definitely up there of like, I can't, it feels weird that it's almost been 2 years and I haven't beaten this mainline game in the series. There's too many fucking games though. But I will say, if you ever feel like going back to it, I'm definitely a 15 apologist and defender. I'd be curious about how you feel about 15 now, because, like, especially after all the updates, that is a completely different game versus when it launched.
Yeah, from what I hear, it changed so much, like with the Royal Edition and all the side episodes, and they even did another one for the main villain that came out after the fact.
You want me to blow your mind and tie this all the way back to Atlus?
Yeah, sure.
Did you know that the main battle theme from Episode Arden, the final DLC for 15, is performed by and written by Lotus Juice?
No way.
Yes way.
Yo.
And
hey, hold on. Final Fantasy 15's hype.
And it fucking rocks. And it's a banger of a song. It's a absolute fucking certified banger. All the DLC in that game, non-skippable, except Comrades. But I think Comrades is offline now, so you don't have a choice. But Episode, Gladio, Ignis, Prompto, the Royal thing, although I think that just gets added to the base game when you play it, and then Episode Arden. If you enjoy the base game, it's that thing of like, I don't know if this is a cardinal sin or just a very weird thing to do. It's like the opposite of an Atlus problem, because Atlus has never done this with any of their games, unfortunately, where the DLC was better than the base game. And it's like, damn, bro, like, how are you going to release DLC better than your base game? It's wild. Because they did a really funny thing with the development of the DLC for 16, where every development team who worked on the DLC, they all split off when the game was done. So every DLC has its own writer. The writer was always the same. It has its own director, gameplay designer, and composer. So they all felt super different, but because the writing was all still tied into the main game, it all felt really cohesive. It was very, very, very good.
Yeah. I know I want to, like, play more and talk about more Final Fantasy stuff. Like, I'm just doing 16 because it's the one I have and it's, like, the most recent one. I will want to play 15 again at some point, like, and actually, like, remember stuff about it, because I barely played 15, like, when I first got it. Like, I don't remember basically anything.
How far are you, by the way, in 16, chapter-wise?
I'm really far in.
Okay,
Is there
so
like a
it's
spoiler
not like
warning I
it
need to
might
do?
grow on you thing. It's you're pretty set in of like, nope, not don't
I'm
love this.
definitely near the end of the game.
Okay, do you think you'll check out the DLC or no?
Oh, I will. I'm doing this for a video.
Okay,
Yeah, so I have all the DLC already because my buddy actually bought this for me when the PC version came out.
it's a great PC port. I was very surprised how nice it was.
Wait, Nam, didn't you do like a community post asking your audience like, oh, which of these Final Fantasy games do you want me to cover first? And literally like 16 won.
Oh yeah, 16-1. I put in 12 for my buddy Ruben because he loves 12, and no one voted for 12.
I voted for 12.
I'm gonna look at this poll right now. So your choices were 10-2, 16, Rebirth, and 12. 10-2 was the correct answer. Yo, 10-2 was second place. That's awesome.
I mean, it only makes sense. He covered 10 already.
Dude, 10-2 is such a fucking mind trip of a game. Like, that's without even getting into Last Mission, where they just straight up add a top-down dungeon crawler for an epilogue.
They had a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon mode.
It's oh my god, dude!
God.
Final Fantasy is on one. That's another one that's always really funny. Bubbletea, do you play many FF games, or what's your quick thoughts on the series if you have any?
So like during my middle school years, I played 1 through 6. I remember my friend bought 7 for me on Steam, like way back in 2013. I played like the first 2 hours of it, but like just never came back to it for whatever reason. And for the most part, like I don't think I like properly came back to the series until Nam like got me to play Final Fantasy X, and I actually like 10. It's like probably I'd say it's somewhere close to like my second, third favorite in the series. So yeah, it's pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah, 10's been calling to me for like a replay, but that's one of like I really want to replay it again, but I have no reason to realistically play it again. just because of especially the last 2 years of backlog growth has been absolutely insane. So we're going to wrap up the world's longest intro, which I think I say every time we ever do this show, by actually doing a question I should have asked you initially, Bubbletea. So anytime someone's on the podcast for the first time, one of the things I always try and ask them is what was their first Atlus game, whether it be Persona, SMT, Disney's Kitchen on PS1. What was your first Atlus game you ever played, and what Atlus or SMT game is next up on your pile of shame that you're like, I need to get to this, I just haven't had a chance yet?
All right. So my first Atlus game was Persona 3 FES. I played it during my sophomore year of college. And basically it ruined my life, and and yeah, now I'm like, and as for right now, I have like quite a few Atlus games that are on like the to be played list.
They just keep putting them out, man.
But I think the one that I'm closest to finishing at the moment that I kind of like put on hold was, what is it? Okay, so currently right now, I've started Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, but have not finished it. And Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse. I'm basically like at the final boss. I just need to like that final boss. It drains everyone's MP like before the second phase starts, and it's just like, oh, looks like I need to come up with like a whole secondary line of demons for that second phase then, because I don't have the MP items to recover all that.
See, I was ready for you just to say the second to last boss in that game just drains you physically as well. So, how about though, just to get a little bit deeper into it in terms of letting us know where your backlog is for it, what is one you have not started, even if you don't own it? What's that game that you haven't touched at all that you're like, damn, I really can't wait to get into this?
Okay. Honestly, oh, dude, that's a tough question. I think something. I mean, I guess right now it would be like the original Raito 1, just because it's like the Raito PS2 games are things that like I've always wanted to like play through, but just never got around to it.
It's really funny because there's never been a worse time to start.
I mean, I heard they're like, at least I heard they're like individually like comparatively short compared to
Oh
like
no, for sure. Both
other.
both of the games are. We looked it up, I think last week or something. But Raito 1's average beat time is around 17 to 25 hours, and then Raito 2 is around 25 to 30.
Oh
That's
yeah,
sort of like DDS too. The DDS games like the same time
Yeah.
frame.
yeah, yeah. I can probably beat Raito 1 before the Raito 1 remaster comes out, which is the goal. That's the plan.
Which, especially if you're planning on covering the remaster one, it will be nice. It's
To have a frame of reference.
well,
Yeah.
it's tricky though because the way they're handling this remaster, you'll almost want to play both to really appreciate it because they're taking so many gameplay improvements from 2 that it will almost seem like an even crazier step up if you just play 1. It'll be like, oh my god, this is fantastic. I can't believe this wasn't in the first game. He's like, oh, well, they just copied it from the second game. Which is still cool, but it is funny how the homework needed for that it's at least not as bad as being like, all right, well, before I play Persona 5 Royal, I have to replay all of Persona 5. Nom, what about you? Where are you at for your Atlus backlog? Is there one you have not started yet that you're still like itching to get to?
Devil Survivor 2.
Peak Survivor. Now, for those
I liked the
ones,
first one. I did like the first one, but I hear the second one is a lot different. But I think it might be more up my alley.
I mean,
I thought the
I'm
first
very
one
biased.
was a little,
2, I think, is just one, but infinitely better.
Yeah, like I really did enjoy 1. It's just there's certain parts about 1 that could have used some more refinement, mainly like the actual combat difficulty of things. Like I feel like, and also the map navigation. The map navigation was pretty minor in that game. Certainly not as involved as I was kind of hoping it would be.
Map navigation doesn't get too crazy deep, but gameplay-wise, it is definitely improved upon. I remember it was really funny, especially playing the original version of DS2, let alone the 3DS ones, of just being like telling so many people who had played 1 or had never played 1, being like, no, yeah, if you've never played 1, you could do 2. Because they're so standalone and their story is so similar. If you kind of go back to back with them, it just sticks out even more like a sore thumb. It's very funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are one of those few rare games though, because there's not that many Atlus ones where you can look at the re-release and just say unequivocally. Because even I think with something like Persona games especially, but a good example would be something like Deep Strange Journey, where I think in my experience of talking to people in the fandom, most people will or have said that they appreciate or enjoy the original Strange Journey more than Deep Strange Journey. But something like Devil Survivor 1 and 2 on DS, it was literally like, oh, no. There's literally nothing you're missing in the 3DS versions that the originals had. Like, it is just the unequivocal best way to play those games.
Okay.
And what's funny, too, is, like, what was it? Because I got my physical copies of the DS ones. I found someone was selling them at a really good price, because I had sold a bunch of my Atlus collection before I got really too deep into collecting. I stopped selling games I owned probably like circa 2010, 2012 for sure, like once I was out of high school. And what was funny was there was one that I missed, and it was the European version of DS2. because in Europe they had a really weird release because it was before Atlus published their own games over there. Did you guys know that in Europe, this company called Ghostlight, who's actually the people responsible for the Dante from Devil May Cry meme, when they were publishing Atlus games over there, it was so late by the time they got it over there that the 3DS version of Devil Survivor 1 had already come out before they could finish the DS version. So they released Devil Survivor Overclocked first, and then they released DS2 the year after. So imagine going from 3DS remake of 1 to normal DS version of 2.
That's... And did that also have the Atlus tax?
No, well, what's funny about the DS version is, and this is when we started the podcast, because very few people ever actually covered it, it's straight up the rarest Atlus game of all time in terms of print size. So the only way it could have gotten made was through basically a Kickstarter. But this was like pre-Kickstarter days, or they just wanted to do it on their website. So if you bought a copy through Ghostlight's website, your name is in the instruction booklet as like a thank you for making this happen. And they were like, if we can get past the minimum threshold for printed copies, we'll release this. Otherwise we won't release it in Europe. And so they got enough people to do it. And I feel like I had the number at one point, but it is literally like sub less than like 4,000 or 5,000 copies exist of this, and it's the exact same game as the North American version. The only difference is it comes in a like PAL copy DS case. And the cover is actually like foil. It's got like a holographic foil print on it. And the instruction manual has everybody's names in it who bought it.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's this really, really cool little collector's piece that like nobody knows about. I made a video about it a couple years ago of like what is the rarest Atlus game out there, and that was one of those funny videos. I'm sure you guys have had this before, where you have an idea for a video and you're like, dude, when I drop this video, people are gonna lose their mind. They're gonna be like, I had no idea. And then the video came out and it was like 10 people were like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's underwhelming.
Because, like, I mean, you know what's funny? It had a good reaction. It was just one of those things that I thought the reception of it would... And it's one of those things where it's like, I have to remind myself, not everyone is a big fucking loser like me, where, like, I find things like how many copies of a game was made and then published here versus released over here and things like that. Like, I love numbers. I love getting into the statistics of, like, what was made, what was released, what didn't get released, like how did it do in this country versus another. Like a similar video, I forget if I did it before or after, and this one had a much better reception, and probably just because it was mainline it made a little bit more sense. I did a video once explaining why SMT4 never released in Europe physically, and about how much of that had to do with Nintendo dropping the game as a publisher. But because it was never announced, a lot of this was stuff that just never got picked up or reported on. So not only did the game take like 9 more months to come out in Europe, it was a digital-only game. And now that the eShop is shut down, if you didn't buy it digitally over there, you just can't play it. Because remember, the 3DS is also region-locked. So it's like the only way to play it nowadays, if you live in Europe, would be import. Or legally, obviously, you could just emulate it. It'd be a lot easier. But it would be like, get a North American 3DS, buy a North American copy, and then you can play SMT4.
No way to play it officially.
Yeah, and it was just so funny because, like, that was one of those things of, I had heard through the grapevines for so long while covering games, but it would still be a thing you would see people talk about a lot, of just being like, oh, well... Because the funny thing with SMT4, it is the only 3DS game that didn't get a physical release in Europe. Every other Atlus game did. Any game we got in English, they got except SMT4. So it would be like the equivalent of North America never got a physical copy of, like, Persona Q1. Be like, why? like, they were still making them, and even the funniest thing with it is other publishers reached out to Atlus to do it, but it was just so late that they thought, oh, no one's gonna buy it. We'll just only put out the new games.
It's funny that it was SMT4 specifically, considering in retrospect that's probably the 3DS game that people like the most from Atlus.
Yeah, well, and also because remember the marketing push behind that was crazy, and again goes back to the whole Nintendo was going to be the publisher of it in Europe. Ironically, they came back and did the same thing because Nintendo published SMT5 worldwide outside of America. The tie-in between Fire Emblem Awakening and SMT4 coming out the same year was huge. Like, do you guys remember the promo campaign if you bought both of those games from Nintendo?
No. Oh,
No.
I was like 2013. I was like 14.
You were not old enough to be playing Shin Megami Tensei 5, sir. So what? And this is probably
I wasn't playing Atlus games back then. I only started in
before
2017.
I really started playing Atlus RPGs.
So what's funny about it is this came out. And Nintendo, I think it was Fire Emblem came out first in January, and then over the summer is when SMT4 came out. If you had bought both games, Nintendo did a collab, which they've never done with any other game. And it was, by the way, two very different games, but it makes sense when you realize that this was either at the same time or shortly before they announced SMT Cross Fire Emblem. If you bought both games, you know, I think this was literally the year that got announced, so that was probably the catalyst of why. If you bought SMT4 and Fire Emblem Awakening, Nintendo gave you like $30 in eShop credits.
That's a really good value. What the fuck?
Yeah, and it was really funny because it was like, even nowadays, it's like, yeah, like the most you'd get is like, hey, here's the trade offer. Pay me $450 and then you can pay me $10 for an eShop demo. So really, really weird stuff like that. That was one of like my better performing videos of like, at least that was one where like I found out something along with sharing a story that other people learned. And the best part is like that video, I haven't looked at the comments in a while, was just filled with like so many people in Europe being like, what the fuck? That's why we never got it? Like everyone's just retroactively pissed like 9 years late. Like, man, this is some bullshit. Well, that kind of ties in actually to one of the reasons I wanted to bring you both on here, outside of the fact that we'll just make every topic infinitely longer. Speaking of games that have better and worse versions of each other, you guys did a very funny thing a couple months back, where by complete happenstance, I'm sure this was not planned at all, you both happened to publish a P4 video. One of them was the correct video. The other one was the wrong video. I'm not going to say which is which. I'm gonna ask though. So for the P4 video, who came up with the idea first of this?
I think I came up with the idea as a joke, like
A very early April Fool's video.
No, it was more like I think me and Nam and like some other people were like hanging out, and I was just like, yo, wouldn't it be funny if like after a Persona 4 remake got announced or something, we just both came out with videos on Persona 4 for the PS2? Cause I'm of the position that like I prefer Golden, and then Nam is of the position that he prefers the PS2, and we could just both upload our videos at the same time, and just like we thought it'd be funny. It was mostly a joke, although no, I think it was more like we knew we were going to do it at some point, but we were just like, we didn't have like a decided
we just
date.
didn't know when we wanted to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And like, so when did the conversation kind of first start? Would it be like late last year, or was it even as
like a year ago?
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a year ago.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
We were putting it off for a while.
Yeah, because it's not like you guys... Because this was even before people started talking about the P4 remake again with the domain stuff, so that was kind of the funny happenstance with everything. So you brought it up, and then for you, Nom, was it a thing of like, okay, how do I kind of want to go about this? Because they're very similar in terms of where you're coming from. Of I'm going to be talking about one versus the other, but like, was there kind of like any sort of collaboration in sense of, hey, here's where like the theme of my video is going versus yours, or was it like, here's the idea, let's make sure to publish it on the same day at the same time and go from there, and then leave the other person in the dark, or like, how much
Yeah,
kind
it
of
was
were you guys
relatively
aware of?
standalone. It was relatively standalone aside from just like in Bubbletea's video specifically, there's like a joke at the end where we have a heated argument about our version differences, where we basically just highlight all the bad stuff about the game we like and just pretend like they're good things. And like we just kind of wrote and then occasionally went, "Hey, how far are you in your video?" And like
Yeah.
we would bounce back ideas with each other about what we should put into our own thing. Like, we would talk to each other like, does this make sense? Like, what I'm writing, am I conveying this well? Like, we just kind of made our own videos and then just decided, let's just put them out on the same time at the same day and same minute.
Okay. And I'm trying to think about with it as well, because one of the other things I thought was kind of funny was like, outside of the obviously, like if someone was subscribed to both of you, I'm sure like that was because I think the first thing I had seen about the video was actually just someone sharing on like Twitter, like what happened to my YouTube timeline today with like both of them, because nothing was really tying into it or leading up to it, like announcement wise, news wise. It was kind of funny where it's like things like this have happened out of complete happenstance before. So the fact that like is there almost like outside of the fact that like you kind of mentioned it in the video, is there ever a part of you that's like, oh, I wonder what would have happened if we just made these videos, published them at the same time like planned, but then never said anything about it being planned on purpose, and just gaslight everybody into thinking it happened totally naturally.
Aside from at this very moment, I have never acknowledged it.
Really?
I haven't said a single thing about it being a planned thing at all.
World exclusive.
Yeah, I did.
And I think it's funny watching people like try to justify how it's going on. I remember someone saying like this must be the most like in-depth SEO like experiment of all time to see like this positivity or negativity do well. It's like, no, we just like had this video idea and we thought it'd be funny.
Yeah, like I didn't mention anything. I did not mention anything about it like until after the video came up. And then like what was it? It might have been like a day or two like after the video went up when like people when it started like causing an uproar, I guess, and it was just kind of like, wait, what? Like it seemed like people were genuinely confused about it, and it was just kind of like, and I remember saying something about it, but yeah, but basically like aside from like the very end of my video where I'm just like, oh yeah, this was all like planned, but like the vast majority of the video and everything leading up to it, like I did not say anything about this being like planned or anything.
And Bubble, one of the things I was thinking is an interesting kind of at least aspect for your video, especially kind of being more defending Persona 4 Golden, is ironically, even though more people have played Golden, and especially nowadays it is the most easily accessible version, there's never really been a video defending it over the PS2 one, in a sense that's not just here's a blanket comparison, now let me defend why I think the Vita one was better. For many, many years, it was either the Vita version is better, I don't need to explain it, or here's my 4-hour video essay about why I think a deeper voice Chie is preferred. So it's kind of funny to like be at like two different sides with it. Of like, did you almost feel like, at least for you, with like Persona 4 Golden, it's like I could say a laundry list of things I like more about Golden versus the other one because it's like my preferred version. But like, is it almost kind of hard to just be like, all right, what's like me defending this version of the game that's not just me saying blue, air is blue, grass is green, water is wet.
Uh, Honestly, like I don't know, I wasn't really thinking too hard about about all that I I kind of already figured that like, oh yeah, like most people are just going to play Golden. Like most people probably don't even know like the differences, and I figured just like, oh, I might as well just point them out and just sort of like, I don't know, just pointing out the differences and seeing like where the game improved, and just like streamline things. Like I just thought like that on its own would make for an interesting video topic.
And I guess actually, because to be fair, the title of your video and the thumbnail are really more so insinuating it's not that Golden's the best version, it's that the original has things less desirable than you might remember, or things like less kind of like mentioned and things with it.
Yeah,
Because it,
yeah. Truth be told, like when I played the PS2 version for the first time, because like this was before Persona 4 Golden came out on Steam. This was like 2018 maybe. So I like played the PS2 version right after beating Persona 3 Fest, and like I was like, I found it like kind of underwhelming. Like I understand the circumstances, like oh yeah, it was like slapped together in 2 years, like after the original Persona 3, and it was like oh yeah, I like it shows, but uh I don't know, like I think it was sort of the fact that people don't know like how much Golden changed Persona 4 that kind of just like that kind of like motivated me to make the video to an extent.
and Nom, for you, was there anything that kind of surprised you when working on the video of either something that may have come to mind that you appreciated more about the OG or enjoyed less about the Vita version?
I think for me, the biggest difference between these two versions is that one is definitely more comfortable with letting players fail and
Yes.
like letting players like make mistakes, letting players play the game the way they want it to. While I think for Golden, it softens the experience just a little too much to the point where those old ideas, instead of being improved, they're kind of just replaced. And I think that kind of I think that sucks because Persona 4 had new ideas compared to 3, a lot of cool new stuff, and not all of it was well thought out. I think Persona 4 still has like the worst combat of like the modern 3 ones, the modern 3 games. But and I played Golden first, but going back to play the PS2 game was definitely refreshing, and I ended up enjoying the experience on the whole a bit more because it doesn't have those annoying Golden features that I'm not the biggest fan of, and it also doesn't have some of the lesser story content that I am also not the biggest fan of. Like I say it in the video where Persona 4 to me is like like first and foremost a murder mystery about like discovering the true self and like what it means to be who you are, and like that's a really good message, and Golden still has that message. The story's not changed, but it also has a bunch of extra stuff that doesn't really enhance that message, more so just kind of distracts and buys time. Like I've heard people say Persona 4 story has like really bad pacing, but like they tend to refer to Golden as the one that they played. It's like, and I can see why if they only ever played Golden, because Golden stops the story like quite a few times to go, let's go to the beach, let's go skiing, let's have a whole month where after you beat the main antagonist, you just kind of do nothing.
Listen,
Let's take a trip to Bangladesh.
you're not going to appreciate the story implications of what's happening in Inaba if you don't have a motorcycle license.
Yeah, exactly. It's like some of that stuff is good and funny. It's just that I think the majority of it is kind of just whatever. Like I don't hate it. It's just it doesn't really add much for me. I prefer the more tight structure of the original game when it comes to the narrative content, that is.
It's it's kind of an interesting one for me, especially just because of how highly I've always ranked Persona 4 even before Golden. Of I've always appreciated the defenders of the original because I played it originally and I loved it and I had it for many years until 4 years later, then playing it on Vita. But it was just kind of one of those funny things of I think a lot of the points now you can kind of throw in Golden's favor of how accessible it is, how cheap it is, how many platforms it's on. Whereas
Yeah,
like
it's like 30 Canadian dollars or something, and it's like an 80-hour
oh,
game.
well, and it
Buy
goes on
basically
sale all the time
every day.
too.
Yeah, it always goes on sale.
But what's funny is like I have been or still am such a huge PlayStation Vita fan that this game was so tied into my favorite system of all time for a decade plus that even before the PC port, I remember even telling people in a post Persona 5 world, it was like, no, 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 no. It is still worth you getting a Vita just to play this game and then a bunch of other games on this system because it was such a great selling point that ironically I'd always used Persona 4 Golden as a system excuse to get people into the Vita more than like, oh, this is how you should get into Persona games or this is how you should get into like JRPGs. Because it was so funny of that game on a system that is just drowning in RPGs. It's funny that that was the one that caught on like wildfire, especially in a pre-Persona 5 world. Like, did either of you two play OG Persona 4 Golden on a Vita, or like where was your first way
I
playing?
did. That's how I played it. In 2014, that's how I played it.
And had you mostly like was it one of those things of you had already had a Vita and that's how you'd heard about it, or was it like, oh well, I want to play this game and this is the only way to play it?
I got the Vita, and then I got Persona 4 Golden like a month later. Like a month or two later. And I heard about the game because I was trying to look at like stuff to buy for the Vita. And everyone was like, oh, Persona 4, Persona 4, Persona 4. And it's like, what the fuck is Persona? Like, that's what I thought at the time. It's like, everyone keeps mentioning this goddamn game. Like, what is this? And I ended up getting it for $20 because it was on sale. And I don't have that first copy anymore, but I do have another physical copy of P4G for the Vita that I bought last year. And it's funny because I ended up paying exactly $20 for it again.
Yeah, it's funny. There was a stint from like 2021 to like 2022 or 3 where because the worry of the Vita store was going to get shut down even though it never did, copies rose to like 80, 90. I even saw copies over $100 just for a standard copy of Persona 4 Golden. And I remember telling people on the show and even like in general, it's like, guys, you have to remember outside of fucking Minecraft, Persona 4 Golden is the most printed game on the PlayStation Vita. Like, it is literally one of the best-selling games on this system that got reprinted for, like, 8 fucking years. Like, it was getting reprinted to hell and back because it was just selling so well, which is why you would see it for $20 everywhere, that I'm like, I'm glad it got, like put back. Because, like, I'm never, like, someone who's like, oh, it's not worth $50, it's not worth whatever. Like, I bought... I mean, hell, I think it was like 80, $100. I bought the big, like, solid gold premium edition of that game, and that was funny because that was a really weird first for Atlus. Like, do you two remember what the, like, solid gold premium edition, like, included and, like, what it looked like?
I remember what it looked like. I don't know what it looks like on the inside. I'm not sure what it came with. Didn't it come with a case?
It did. So, Bubble, do you remember what I'm talking about? Or I can send you a picture.
No, I don't remember.
So I'll try and send you a picture, but what's funny about this is this was a exclusive to North America Collector's Edition that included the game and a accessory bundle that was sold separately in Japan, but like it was only made for 10,000 copies. So let me see. Solid Gold Premium Edition. There we go. And the price on this one's gone down a lot, which is really, really funny. So it was basically just a big box that included a Hori accessory set. And so what it was is you had some stickers Oh, it was $70. It wasn't even 80. That's crazy. So it was a PlayStation Vita copy, a PlayStation Vita hard shell that would like put a little front clamshell on top of your system, and then a hard shell which would hold not only the system but the system with the like protective shell. So they were kind of like a two-in-one case. So like one case for the PlayStation Vita, the reason for the like clamshell outside of protecting the top front touchscreen was also because it would have to fit around the system while also letting you use the front and back touchpad. Because it had both of those things on it. So Vita accessories were kind of weird at first. And what was funny about it was... Alright, here we go. I got a picture of it. I'll send it on Discord. What was extra funny was this was the first time Atlus had ever sold a collector's edition that specifically had goods that were only available in Japan, and you can tell it's literally the same ones from Japan because if you zoom in on the cases, they are not called Persona 4 Golden, it is Persona 4 The Golden.
Oh.
Like, so they literally just bought 10,000 of these accessory cases from Japan, put them in this special edition box, and then the other crazy thing was they limited it to 10,000. And I remember even at the time back then, this was like pre-limited run, like small print runs of games. This was one of those weird cases where like in my brain I was like, Spencer, this is gonna sell out. If you don't buy this, this will be the worst. Like this will be the most FOMO a man can experience. Like if you miss out on this, you fucking loser. And what's funny is it's a pretty expensive collector's edition even now, but for something that was only 10,000 copies of, it's not anything crazy. I think on eBay it goes for around like well, I see a brand new copy. That's always the funny thing of like, so brand new people have stupid prices for it, but like used opened up cases I've seen anywhere from like 200 to 300 and stuff like that. But like just as a weird like show of how good the accessories were for that, I used my Vita as like a daily driver, and that accessory case I had from 2012, it lasted me until 2022, I think, and then it broke. Not the outer case, but the hard shell like finally cracked the plastic, and it lasted me so long that I was like, honestly, I'm just going to go find someone who I can buy another case from and just get the exact same case again, because I'd used my Vita for so many years that it felt naked without this like Persona case on it. It's very, very weird. But I always kind of going back to like my point. For me, it was funny of how I never thought of Persona 4 Golden being compared to the original, because even though the PS2 was so popular, it was so funny for me that Golden was always such that default thing that I always thought it was interesting. Not that people don't say, hey, you should play the original, that by comparison, even as niche as the PlayStation Vita was, I always thought it was very interesting that you would hear more people say, you should buy this failed portable system from Sony, instead of, hey, you know the most popular selling system of all time, the PS2? Buy this $20 game for it.
Yeah, this game that was only $20 at the time.
And, you know, honestly, another one as well, even more crazy, you could compare it with the PS3 version. You could have played it on PS3 and only paid like $10 for it. All of those PS2 Atlus games were available as digital downloads on every single PS3. So, like, for you guys, at least kind of like with that, what was the reception from your video, outside of the obviously comparing both of the different videos? Was there anything that like kind of surprised you, whether it be about how the video did, the comments you got, or anything that maybe, and these ones I always find funny, of like someone makes a comment and you're like, oh fuck, I totally missed that, or I totally didn't think about that. Like were there any kind of surprises either of you saw with either of your videos?
I'm surprised people cared so much, honestly. Like I remember people were posting screen caps of like their YouTube notifications with like both of our videos going up at the same time, and And like I don't know how much of it was like being said jokingly or how many people like genuinely thought that we were beefing over this.
That's my favorite part of people who took sides in a war that wasn't even going on.
Well, I mean, remember, there's no there's no sides in the Persona 4 discussion debate. It's like every discussion, no one ever asks, oh well, who won or what happened. It's like for every is Naoto trans and is kanji gay discussion, you never notice. No one's ever like, so what happened at the end? Who won? What happened? It's like no
one came to a consensus.
They just get nuked into becoming a stalemate apparently.
Happened was that the domain registration for P4RE happened, so everyone just immediately stopped talking about that and wanted to talk about P4 Remake.
Yes.
Which, honestly, it's funny. P4 Remake is a funny one of like, it's something I don't want to discuss until it is official, just because it's like, it's such a nothing burger until it is official that it's really not really even worth kind of bringing up again. Like, I legitimately forgot about the domain registration like a week after it happened. Like, there's been so much other news in my life that I'm like, dude, not that I don't care, but it's like, it's just one of those things that's like, eh.
It's a lot easier to be excited for something like Raito Remaster when we actually like see it and can like talk about things that they're doing with it.
Well, yeah, and like, it's fucking like, we have a new game to look forward to for Atlus out in 2 months. Like, yeah. Why worry about... And that's what I thought was so funny, especially about some of the discourse coming up with the remake of course, Twitter having to start doom posting about all the stuff they assume will not be in the game. It's like, what a, like, unhelpful discussion from all aspects.
We're in a bad spot when the remake gets a domain, not even announced. Like, and it might not even be that. Remember when P5S was registered? Everyone thought it was P5 Switch.
Oh man, Mystic Distance out there still coping from it. I heard.
yeah, it's like I get it. People know I don't really like Reload that much, but I'm not like a doomer about like this whole scenario. I want it to be good, so I'm just gonna wait to see what it looks like. Like, I'm not hoping it sucks. Like, I don't think anyone wants it to suck.
No, and honestly, especially for people out there, whether you love or hate Reload, I think it's really funny of like, once you realize there are more than one team at Atlus, hence one project is not going to stop Persona 6 from existing. I think it's really funny of like, look at all of the positive changes they put into each of their games from release, whether it be Reload to Episode Aegis, from SMT5 to Vengeance, to even Metaphor from release to some of the balance patchings they've been doing even up to now with like Persona 4 Golden. It's like, there's no way we're going to get a worse game than Persona 3 Reload from whatever remake Persona 4 is going to be.
Yeah.
Like, they're all iterating on each other, even if they're not the first immediate team with each other, which I find really, really funny. So it's like, whether your biggest worry is voice actors getting recast or systems, availability, development team priorities, and again, like, even other stuff of like, the funniest thing for me, which I just from my years of knowing how this company is and how little fucks they give about what the West think about their story, and not even in a we don't care about you kind of way, but in a like in the same way that like Atlus Japan gave zero fucks about changing the lady at the beach or the gay guys in Persona 5, like Atlus Japan doesn't care about what the West thinks about their story, and it's like when I see funny things of like, oh well, how will these characters in Persona 4 be changed? I'm like, bro, probably not at all. Like, literally not at all. Like, they know that this game is universally loved still, and for the like 5% of people who may or may not think they're right about how was Kanji's character development handled, or how was Yosuke homophobic in 26 ways or less, they still know that for the majority of people, they don't care about any of that. And it's like, spoilers if this is going to upset anybody, but I've never had a harder lock in the bank than this statement, and you guys can tell me if I'm horribly wrong or not. I would bet my fucking house that, of course, the cross-dressing pageant's going to be in the game. Why would they take that out?
Yeah.
They're not going to take that out.
And people, and it's just those funny things of like, kind of going back even to like the best comparison of it is like the lady at the beach in P3R is kind of less in your face just because that's just like, it's just really a matter of like what she's saying versus what she's doing. But my favorite one has to be when everyone in the West got really excited for the dialogue change from Persona 5 Royal from vanilla. Like, do you guys remember like how they changed the dialogue with Ryuji and the two guys in the alley?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
My favorite part about that is if you don't know, in Japan the dialogue is still the same. They only changed it in the West, which just makes it makes it matter even less. It's like, oh, thank God. It's not... Well, I mean, there's other problems with the way they changed that scene. It's like, great, guys, we went from homophobic to cross-dresser-phobic. Fantastic. But it's...
Yeah, now you're saying all people who cross-dress would, like, abduct kids.
Yeah, it's like, we can't have Ryuji hating gay guys. We can definitely have him hating RuPaul Drag Race fans. That's totally on the table. So it's like, it's those funny ones of like, as long as Atlus themselves don't care about it, that's kind of like, hey, if it makes you hate a game more or less, that's totally fine. Because like, I always surprise people, at least like for me, like when I tell people, I'm like, oh yeah, like not only is Persona 4 Golden like one of my favorite games of the series, like my favorite character is and always has been from that game Yosuke. And then every now and then, like I'll get a person, whether it be online or in person, who will be like, "Well, what about when Yosuke did this or did that or made this?" And it's like, yeah, because he's my favorite character doesn't mean I'm like, "Oh, bro, he's just like."
Doesn't mean you have to excuse literally everything the character
He's just
does.
like me for real. He loves trash and hates gay people. Thank God. It's like, it's just so funny in that sense of just being like, yeah, it's like, it's not black and white. These games are not meant to be perfect. I mean, God, it'd be like, imagine those people, like, you're not supposed to play Catherine the way you watch Scott Pilgrim. You're not supposed to watch Scott Pilgrim and be like, damn, this Scott guy's great at picking up chicks. Like, you're not supposed to be playing Catherine and being like, damn, Vincent really knows how to grab those baddies. I should follow this guy's logic.
Oh my God.
Man, Vincent Brooks takes off is gonna be so good.
You know what? You say that, I would actually fuck so hard with like a Catherine anime pseudo sequel remake Ava style. Like, I would eat that up like a fucking pig in trash. So, like, for you two, at least kind of getting back to, like, the P4 thing, like, I've always kind of thought the argument between versions was always funny of, like, one version never cancels out the other. The same way of, like, even before Reload, like, I always said Portable was the best version for me. It never erased Fez existing for anyone else. How much, I guess, would either of you kind of say versions really mattered for you, whether it be P4 or just other Atlus games in general?
In P4's case, like, I like both Golden and Vanilla. I just like one more than the other, to be honest. Like, the only thing I don't want is just a bad game. Like, that's just kind of it. Like, as long as the version isn't a bad game or doesn't make it, like, make it so I don't enjoy it anymore, I'm like, I'll be okay with it. I'll just always have a preference.
Bubble, what about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think, like in terms of Persona 4, like, yeah, I don't think it's that deep because it's like Persona 4, like the original, like as a standalone product, like yeah, it's totally fine. Like it's not like a you know, even though the title says, oh yeah, Persona 4 on PS2 sucks, it's just kind of like, no, that's more like just by comparison, like in a vacuum, or like at least in the context where, like, when it was the only version of Persona 4, it's like, yeah, it's fine, like, and you can prefer whichever version you want. Like, it's just you know, I like, cause like I have, like, it's like Nam already said it, like like I have my preference because my first time playing Persona 4 Golden, like I never owned a Vita, so my first time playing Persona 4 Golden was the Steam version, and I remember like I don't know, like I just remember having a much more I like a more unanimously positive experience with it, whereas like with the original I enjoyed it, but like I definitely had a lot of reservations about it.
I think also another funny one that the fandom could probably give itself more of a reality check with, because like the majority obviously still love these games and don't have as many problems as like, here's my random Twitter hate thread or internet video posting of the day of like something I always find is really funny that really breaks a lot of like these arguments, especially when you see really long form kind of dissections of like, here's all the ways Shin Megami Tensei 5 has ruined and murdered my family, is like, even the worst Atlus game is still better than 9 out of 10 RPGs out there. Like, there are very, very few cases of these games that I'm like, wow, this was a waste of my time.
I think the only Atlus game I think is like legitimately like really bad is like shit like SMTN.
And even that is such a funny one of like, oh yes, the Japanese only game they've never ported.
This like obscure like first time what if series like attempt. It's like that's a pretty good track record.
Yeah. It always kind of is funny for me of like, I think especially when you love something and you're talking about it, it is almost always easier to kind of bring up the critiques or do the things you want first, because if you're looking at something through a critical lens or an analytical side, it is always easier to be like, oh, well, I wish it did this, or this was weird, or this was out of place. And like, the thing I always kind of find funny with it, I think there's ways of doing it in moderation. Because there were, like, that was one of the first things I always thought was really funny about when I was introduced to Simply Dad and I'd watched one of his videos, because I had talked with him first before ever actually watching any of his videos. Because his videos are very polarizing in the sense of, like, back when he did make videos of, I love this game, here's a 4-hour video about why I love this game and everything great about it. Or, this game is the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen, and I'm going to talk about why I took a big poop on it. And it was very funny of, like, when you kind of look at them all in that front of, even though you might be saying what it does right or what it does wrong with it, when you've put that as like the jokey YouTube thumbnail title, it is funny how much people do kind of skew that debate or like lead into that joke of like, I always think of the Spider-Man meme of like, that's a cute opinion, did a YouTuber give it to you? Of like, it is always so funny to me when I see people, especially with something like Persona 4 comparisons, be like, how many of you Persona 4 PS2 defenders have actually played Persona 4 in the PS2? Because it's like, there are not that many of us.
It is very skewed.
and
there's significantly less people that played it and care enough to continue talking about this stuff.
And honestly, what's extra funny is then kind of comparing it to the different versions of Persona 3. It's not even a fair kind of comparison, just because Persona 3 realistically has 4 major different versions to compare to each other: Vanilla, Fez, Portable, and Reload. And what's funny about that is then you have people try to do projects like, oh, well, now that we have Reload, like the FemC mod. I think the FemC mod is a very interesting thing, if not a flawed replacement, which isn't really like... what like the funny thing with the FemC mod is I think it actually is cool and breaks... It like ruins the argument for why was this game not in there being like a cheap thing. Because I always find it really funny of like, if people are like, man, Atlus was so cheap for remaking Persona 4, for remaking for Persona 3 without FemC, and then I will just be like, I could explain to them how expensive adding that route is in, But if you also want to download this mod, you can immediately realize, holy fuck, this game is really weird and broken because there's a complete different character gender who is not treated for at all in it. Because you think about all the conversations that have to change, all the social links that have to change, all the romance that has to change.
A lot of people tend to underestimate just how different those two routes really are.
Drastically. Like, they're not...
Oh yeah, like I'm actually friends with someone who's like on that the FemC Reload project team. And I think they were also on like the FemC cutscenes team as well. And yeah, like they tell me about like their progress and like their work, like, and just like the amount of like dialogue changes. This isn't even like implementing the dialogue.
Yeah.
This is just taking the original dialogue and like changing it. Like the amount of work that goes into just that. Like, yeah, it's a lot of work.
Like, what's so funny is there are legitimately people out there, and I've had people like tell me this, where they think this is really all it is, that they think all the Persona 3 female route is pink menus, new character model.
That's crazy.
And it's like, no. And then what's funny is because how accessible, and honestly, at first I thought it was weird that they ended up finally porting after years. Like, I feel like they took way too long to port portable to everything, especially the fact that it released 13 months before Reload. But I'm so glad that both exist, because it just immediately is like, cool, spend $20 and play the FemC route for 10 minutes and you'll immediately know that you're wrong. Because it's like they're just they were already two completely different games, but it's like, it is very funny. It's like, if you're someone who played Portable, great news. You're going to play Reload and be like, holy shit, this game is so different. And then vice versa, for completely different reasons. And then, going back to the Persona 4 thing, there are multiple discussions and things that you can kind of talk about with both of those games. And then, like, what's the largest kind of comparison people like to visually show when saying, oh, well, what does Persona 4 Golden do wrong, or what does Persona 4 Golden need to do differently? And then, like, the most stuff that gets traction or attention online, yeah, we got the fog back, fuck yeah, this game's saved! Couldn't play this game with that dog shit fog before.
It's funny, in my PS2 video for Persona 4, there is one thing I made absolutely sure to do. It was to not mention the fog at all.
You didn't want to put yourself in you didn't want to pick a side for Foggate.
No, it's because it's so easy for people to just see, like, oh, I like the PS2 version more, and then people who just don't want to listen, who just go, oh, it's because of the fog, blah blah blah. It's like, no, I like it more for these other reasons, actually.
I think aesthetic is kind of just like the first thing people will address when comparing the Golden and PS2 versions as well. And a lot of the other differences just like aren't covered as much.
I want you to know I stumbled across a conversation about Persona 4 Fog once, unfortunately by accident, and the words that came out of this person's mouth, I genuinely was like hoping they were joking. They were like, I haven't seen fog handled this poorly since the Silent Hill HD collection. And I'm like, that is, with a straight face, mind you.
I don't know about that one.
And I'm like, we cannot compare apples to oranges. It's like, we can't be like, here's the Comic Sans Silent Hill meme next to a fucking PlayStation Vita port.
Can someone make that into a mod where they change, like, the Yasuo Inaba train station sign to, like, Comic Sans?
I'm sure. I mean, listen, if we can mod my ex-girlfriend's picture is now the Kingdom Hearts 2 health
emoji.
Yeah, if we can make that mod happen, anything's possible. Oh my god. What was the other thing I was going to say? So, I want to start wrapping up just because I know we're going long. But I wanted to ask, was there anything when you guys watched the other person's video that stood out to you, if you've watched him yet?
I liked his video. I thought it was pretty good. Not as good as mine, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know. When I watched Nom's video, I was just like, oh yeah, that's a good video, and just didn't like really. I don't know. Like there wasn't anything that like I glaringly disagreed with. It was just kind
It
of
also doesn't help that Bubbletea and I, we do hang out kind of frequently, so we've talked about this stuff before with each other.
we kind of already know each other's thoughts on this specific topic.
The only way it could have been funnier is if somehow you did the script work, but then edited each other's videos. Like you voiced yours, and then he edits yours, and then you edit his, and then see if anyone notices.
Me blatantly trying to sabotage all of Bubbletea's arguments by showing the worst examples.
Bubbletea, why is this video only use Star Wars swipe aways? Why is this the only transition used? Classic Nom editing style. He loves Star Wars transition screens. Besides that, I had a couple things I wanted to run by you, because I'm not sure how much of these opinions you've been putting out there with it. We talked a little bit about Rhino Remaster. We're all pretty universally excited. I wanted to kind of gauge the room for you guys. First off, where do you plan on playing it? Because we kind of talked about Switch. I'm still not really sure where I'm at, but the funny thing with Rhino Remaster is got two interesting notes to it. It's the most platforms an Atlus game has ever launched on. I forget if the number is like 8 or 9. But it's got PS4, PS5, Switch, Switch 2, Xbox Series S, X, PC, and I'm probably forgetting like one other one or something. But we'll just say Mac at this point. Even though it's not coming
They
to
do
Mac.
a separate like Windows Store version.
Yeah, no, we don't count that bullshit. You're lucky I count the Xbox S and X. But the number of platforms is cool, but then the other one that people haven't really brought up, this is the first time Atlus has ever supported a new console the month it comes out. Infamously, Atlus is very bad at supporting new hardware. Like, the only other time this has happened, ironically, was Persona 4 Golden, when 7 months after the Vita launched, they had Golden release on it. So, like, something coming out the launch month of the Switch 2 is pretty fucking insane. But for you two, are you planning on have you decided where you're going to play, waiting and seeing in case there's any other kind of like tech breakdowns? Are you guys like, I assume both of you probably play primarily on PC.
Yeah, I play on PC.
I'm probably gonna play it on Steam just cause like I don't have a Switch 2. I don't have like any of the other systems it's coming out on.
You're gonna play it on your ROG Ally?
Oh yeah. Mm-mm.
Yeah, like I'm probably gonna play through it on PC because it's just easiest for me to record, and like I like playing on my computer. I got a fucking RTX 4070. I'm gonna goddamn use it.
Oh my god, that's the same graphics card as me.
Whoa!
I mean, it's not a 5090 though, so you guys do kind of look like peasants though.
Yeah,
Damn.
Unfortunately. If I get a Switch 2, I'll probably buy it there just because I would like to own it physically.
You
I may as well own it on a
wanna taste what Rhino tastes like on that red cartridge, don't you?
Yeah, I wanna lick the cartridge to go through the Rhino juices.
It's cherry flavored now.
Oh my god.
So the other Rhino question I wanted to ask you: how do you guys feel about? Well, yeah, I guess actually this would be a better one because we kind of talked about it a little bit before collector's editions. Would you guys say you have much of a big like physical collection, or how do you guys feel about like collector's editions of stuff in general?
I don't care.
I tend to buy games that I kind of really like. Like I bought Vanilla Persona 3 a few months ago.
That
And
ugly
that was
ass
pretty
cover.
cool. The greatest box art of all time.
Never before have 3
The old-
PNGs been displayed so well.
Like in terms of collector's editions, I don't care, but like in terms of like physically owning games, when I was in Japan last year, like I did just buy a bunch of pretty much all the Megaten games on PS2 except DDS1. I could not find that for the life of me.
I can't imagine how
And
cheap
then-
those were.
And then yeah, they were pretty cheap. I also got Persona 1 and Persona 2 Innocent Sin. Again, Eternal Punishment I could not find for the life of me.
PSP or PS1?
PS1.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the PSP ones are a little bit more expensive, but especially that's because of how much later, especially Eternal Punishment was. That's surprising though about PS1 you couldn't find.
But yeah, anyways, my version of Persona 3 Vanilla has the better box cover, so I win.
I have the bad side and then the good side. You turn it over and it's the Japanese box art.
So I'd be curious then, if you guys have no fucks to give, totally fine. Were you surprised, or how do you feel about Atlus giving the collector's edition keys to limited run again with this one?
I don't like that. I was so close to getting the Midnight Channel edition of Persona 4 Gold, and I was so close. And then I didn't, and then I found out a year later they were only just getting shipped out.
I just got mine. Like literally
That's
a week ago.
crazy.
It only took a year and a half.
Wait, what? You only just got it?
No, literally, they just finished producing. So I ordered them in 2023, and I just got them in April 2025.
2 years?
Yep. If it wasn't for the fact that, I mean, I'm planning on doing it my own poor post-mortem. How do I feel about it? Like, as you can tell, I uploaded unboxings of both of them, and the longer an unboxing is, it's mostly me just reviewing it as it's going. It's like the highs when I'm unboxing them, because the P3, I ordered both the P3 one and the P4 one. When the highs are high, it's cool, and I'm glad I ordered it, especially because both of them go for, I think, over $300-$400. Like it has not lost its value, which is funny because if you want just a standard copy on Xbox, PlayStation, or Switch, a P3 or P4, this version has at least made that possible. But like the ways that they put budget into some things and then totally cheaped out on others were so funny. Especially like for the big item in both boxes was, for Persona 3, you got a life-size evoker in a shadow box case, which looks really cool. It lights up and everything. And then their equivalent of that for Persona 4 was a 1-inch tall gold Teddy statue. Which, I mean, hey, I could murder a man with it, but it's not really the same compared to a life-size gun.
That's not as cool. Let's not beat around the bush here.
Yeah, so
the evoker sounds dope.
The evoker is dope, even though hilariously it's only half a gun, because they couldn't put just a gun in a case and then ship it from China. That would probably have raised a lot of concerns. So like it's literally an evoker sawed in half. But if you look at it like front on, it looks like exactly like it is for it. So that is a really cool thing in there. But like it is almost kind of going back to like the Persona 3 Fez intro. It's like they blew the budget on the evoker and then they had to make like the Happy Meal toy Teddy statue. I'm very
better or worse than the Persona 3 movie water gun pistol evoker.
Oh, that's a banger one. That one at least you can actually use and put to your head, which is dope. So the Raito thing is interesting, especially for the collector's edition, because I've been trying to reach out, and I'm not sure. I feel pretty confident because we've had the CEO of Limited Run on the show before to like talk about Persona. I'd really love to like pick his brain once this kind of gets revealed of like what they're going to include, how they're handling this, because like this is extra weird of like it's at least thankfully not retail only through Limited Run. It is going to be like if you just want the game you can get it at retail. It's not going to be exclusive. But
okay, that's good.
Yes, so like that's nice, but it is that funny thing of like I'm shocked Atlus gave it up for something like this, but I think you're going to see a lot of people, depending on what's in this collector's edition, similar to the Switch 2, are going to bitch about it until they see, oh shit, well, there's a Raiho plushie, I got to buy it now. Because like the thing that I think
they do the same thing as Raito 2.
No, exactly.
Every,
that's what I'm like.
numbered.
I bet you they're trying to make a matching set. Because the thing with the Raito 2 box is there was that big, nice display box where if you bought Raito 2, it literally comes in this giant plastic box with a Raiho plushie and a copy of the game, but the first game never got anything like that. So I was like, I bet you Limited Run is creaming in their jeans. If they can make like a replica version of that for this, that's totally what they're going to try and do, except then charge us like $250 for it. But I think a lot of people would get nostalgia baited into that if they do it.
Yeah. Either buy Rido 2 on its own or Rido 1 with a plush.
But other one I wanted to throw out there in case you guys had any opinions or didn't talk about it. What's the general hype check for both of you with the Switch 2 right now? Bubbletea, you had kind of talked about it before. Like, are you sold on the Switch? Optimistic about the Switch? How are you feeling about it?
Well, I never owned like the original Switch.
You still
And
don't have a
Switch 2,
Switch?
yeah, no.
That's
Like
crazy.
pretty I don't know, like pretty much any like Switch games that I would even want to play, it would honestly just be easier and probably better off for me to just like emulate it because there are just so few of them that I would even like really care for. Switch 2, it's like I'm not really I wasn't really planning on buying it at launch anyway. So it was like I don't know, maybe if there's just like for some reason a game that I just absolutely need to have that's on the Switch 2 only, then maybe I'll consider it, but it's not likely. I've never honestly let's see. Like I kind of fell off on like consoles like after the Wii, honestly. And then like my PS4 I got like in college, but I feel like at that point, what was it, 2019? So it was like kind of close-ish to like the end of like that before like the PS5 was announced anyway. So it was like you know, I'm just not huge console guy, you know.
Nam, what about you? I at least know you have a Switch.
I do have a Switch. I think the Switch 2 looks pretty cool, but I just think it might be a little too expensive for me at the moment. I don't know. I'll have to see like when pre-orders actually do come back if I can justify getting it. Like it does look like a nice device, but that's like 700 Canadian dollars. That's a lot of money.
God, especially nowadays, it's like, what will $450 look like in 2 months? That's the one I'm asking myself.
Exactly. That's like, I wouldn't be surprised if people end up buying it at the current price, if only out of fear of what the future will hold.
We live in a world where the PS5 has been out for almost 5 years and has been increased in price twice.
Exactly.
Oh.
We truly are living in the strangest timeline.
I think what will I want to know when Xenoblade X is getting its update.
So the Xenoblade X will be there day one. So they haven't officially said it yet, but there is no Switch 2 version. I decided to hold off on it. I was loving playing Xenoblade X on the Switch, but I didn't think the Switch 2 was going to come out so soon. And I'm like, honestly, I've got enough. I've got fucking Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker over here to play. I can hold off and just play some baby games and then let the real men games play on the Switch. Because like I'm big.
Yeah, I bought Xenoblade 3 not too long after I made my video on Xenoblade 2.
Oh, it's so
and
good.
I was planning on making that like the next big one I talked about after I did my DLC homework and shit. But then as soon as I bought it, basically they announced that Xenoblade X was getting ported. I was like, well, it looks like that's the one I'm going to play next.
Guys, we have breaking Spencer news that no one asked for. I just got an email from Team YouTube.
Oh boy.
My video has been blocked worldwide for a private video I posted 2 years ago of me playing Caligula Effect for B-roll, which never was public. I will appreciate any donations to the Patreon to help me in this time of need for a video I was making no money on. Thank you, YouTube, for scaring me.
So over.
We're so
well, you
over.
can't, not making any money on it anymore. You could have before.
Oh, dude, the Caligula 2 views were banging, let me tell you. That and Monarch, I was just rolling in the double-digit views with that one.
Oh my god, Monarch, I forgot about that game.
Fucking Monarch 2, it's coming, baby. Just you wait. Switch 2 exclusive Monarch. That'll get Bubbletea. That's what'll change his mind. Monarch 2 running at 120 FPS, baby.
Yo, I like how pretty much as soon as the Raito remaster got announced, like the director was just like, "Oh yeah, we would love the opportunity to like revive Raito, put out like a third game." And honestly, like depending on how well like this Raito remaster does, and like if they remaster Raito 2 as well, they probably will. Uh, like depending on how well that does, like honestly, if Raito ends up getting like revived from this, whereas like Soul Hackers is just completely dead in the water now because of Soul Hackers 2, like damn, I'm like my condolences, Soul Hackers fans. Ooh.
I'll be very curious, especially because what's funny is, and this is another one, I'd be curious how many people are really actively aware of it. What was it? SMT3, when the HD version came out in Japan, sold like fucking hotcakes. It sold insanely well, and was like one of the best-selling games in the whole series until SMT5, and then just completely came out like a wet fart here in the West. It was like bad timing release, bad platforms, iffy ports, $50 for a PS2 game with very little actual quality of life features, and paid DMC DLC was super. It had a lot of negatives against what was a good port. But what's funny is if Japan ate that shit up that much for Nocturne HD, I really wonder / hope that they do the same for Raito, because I'm like, man, if you guys bought this much for a mediocre port, look at how much work and effort they're putting into Raito. Because it's like, even if you love Nocturne HD, like you look at those two HD remasters next to each other, it is clear and above which one had a lot more love and attention put into it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with you. I hope we get two. Because my biggest complaint when the game was first announced at that Nintendo Direct was like, oh, fuck, they're piecemealing it again. I was bummed that they didn't just do both in the same game, but as soon as they did the director's video, I immediately understood how much more work they were putting into this, and how much better it looked and sounded, to the point where I was like, honestly, for $50, especially in an era where we're now paying $70, $80 for games, I actually am now looking at that more like a budget price. Even though a few years ago Nocturne felt like kind of a Nocturne for 50 felt like too steep, even for me as an Atlus fan.
Yeah.
So we've got a tiny couple of fan questions before we get out of here. We've got our first one is from Hassan, who now just wanted to immediately disappear. Thank you, the always reliable X app. Here we go. Hassan had a question for you, for both of you. We'll do Bubbletea first. How many times have you played each mainline Persona game? Which makes me then wonder, are there any of these games that either of you two have beaten more than once? Because I can only think of one or two that I've beaten multiple times.
Okay, so I have played through Persona 3 many, many times. Like, I honestly lost count. Like, I lost count of how many times I've replayed Fest, but Portable, I've played through, like, I want to say 3 times? Yeah, I want to say I played through Portable, like, 3 times. And then Reload I've only played once. And honestly, like, I am, like, after the Persona 4 PS2 video, like, I was genuinely thinking, like, maybe, like, one day I'll play, like, vanilla Persona 3 just to round it all out, you know?
Just to feel alive again.
I've already played Persona 3, like, a billion times, like, every other way. It's just, like, you know, might as well just have, like, complete it, you know, finish the loop. Let's see. Persona 4, I've honestly probably my second most played Persona game. Because, like, Persona 1 and 2, like, I've only played through those, like, twice. Like, Persona 1, I played through both the Snow Queen and, main route twice, and then the Persona 2 duology, I played through once on the PS1 versions and once on the PSP versions. And then Persona 5 is actually my least played, or at least, like, I've only ever done one complete playthrough of Persona 5 Royal. I've never done a full playthrough of the original Persona 5, and I'm only like just starting a replay of Persona 5 Royal. I've made it to the end of Kamoshida's Palace, but I have not sent the calling card yet.
Nam, what about you?
Off the top of my head, I think it's Persona 1. I did one for Sebek, one for Snow Queen. Persona 2, Innocent Sin, I think I played twice. Eternal Punishment, I've only played the PS1 version once, and I've never finished the PSP version. Persona 3, I played a fuckload. A lot of times. Because there's like a million versions of that game. It's like I've played through the PS2 Fest like 4 times, I want to say. Portable I played through at least twice. And Reload I played through once. Persona 4 I've played that like 5 times. And I think for 5 I played Vanilla once. I played through Vanilla twice. And I played through Royal, I think, 3 times.
Okay. Dang. Mine's a lot easier. 1 and 2, all versions, PS1 and PSP, I've played through all the way. Eternal Punishment Remake I have not rolled credits on, out of hope that optimistically I will experience that game unmodded. And Persona 3, way less than you guys. Persona 3, I've played... Yeah, Vanilla... What was it? I've played Vanilla, Fez once. I don't know if I would count Portable twice for each route, but I guess it is its own version of rolling credits. And 4 also only once each, which is kind of surprising. 4 is the only one that I've actually wanted to go back and replay, because I have trophies that I never got on my own account, because I played Golden on someone else's Vita before I owned one, for like the review period. So I need to still get trophies on mine, and that's always bugged me. That's kind of like my weird goal of I want to replay Vanilla Golden before remake, if that makes sense. I used to say I specifically want to play OG Vita Golden again, even though there's a PS4 version and I have all the other versions. I'm like, I specifically want to play that version again. And 5, I've only played 1 of each. Like the only ones that I would say multiple. It's funny. I was gonna be like, wow, I can't believe you guys have played 3 so much. But yeah, 3 again, probably just because of how many versions came out.
There's so many versions of that game.
Yep.
It's really easy to play through Persona 3 a bunch of times, because if you want to play the big ones, let's just say Fast, Portable, and Reload, that's 3 playthroughs.
But yeah, besides that, I'm very boring, myself included, for like replaying stuff. Not from not wanting to. It's mostly just from like a time playing old games versus how much new stuff do I want to play. Because I feel like, especially in the last couple of years, there have just been so many great giant games I haven't gotten a chance to get to that the guilt just gets too insane. This question I was very happy to see by Suma. It said, what is your favorite Atlus adaptation, like an anime or a manga, something that is not a video game? I've talked about it a bunch, so I will shut up and just say it so more people hopefully buy it. Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. The manga. Buy it. It's 4 volumes. The art's fucking amazing. It's by the same guy who did Memento's Mission. It's fucking amazing, and is the only way that game has a good story, because I love Ultimax, but fuck, that story is boring as shit. What about you two?
Let's see. Like in terms of anime, like I've only finished the Persona 3 movies and the Persona 4, the original animation.
You haven't seen Golden? Golden is like a YouTube poop of a watch. You have to watch Golden.
I watched like a few episodes of like Trinity Soul. I'm gonna be real with you, I don't even remember what that show was about.
Trinity Souls blows. Memes aside, dumb song aside, Trinity Souls is so forgettable.
Yeah, so I guess like out of... I read a pretty big chunk of the Persona 3 manga, but honestly, I think that's kind of like whatever. So out of the stuff that I've consumed, I guess, yeah, Persona 4 the animation is probably the best adaptation that I've experienced personally.
I would really recommend, especially because it's a short, like half-season size show. If you don't like the first two episodes, I would say you'd probably know if you'll like it by the first one, but especially the second one really goes off the walls. The series is great as soon as you realize when they produced it, because it seemed like, I remember when that anime got announced, like, Nam, were you around when that Golden anime was airing?
Yeah, I was watching it as it was coming
It
out.
was like the most pooped on anime announcement ever. Like, man, like, you know the way people joke about The Last of Us milking? Like, the Persona 4 Golden milk was real, of people, like, going into that show cynically, and kind of rightfully so. But, like, the fact that they just made a series that is just, what if we took New Game Plus and made it an anime, but was serious about it, I thought was so funny.
Hmm.
Nam, what about you?
I'm boring. My favorite one's the Persona 4 anime. I just think it's like a really good adaptation. It manages to like make the protagonist into like an actual interesting character with a surprising amount of character growth. I like the framing of how he becomes more open and like funny as in the show you see his social stats get like more and more rounded. Like his actual characterization becomes more and more, rounded along with that. I think that's really clever. Um, I also really liked Mementos Mission. I actually did like that a lot, and I do recommend people actually read that.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored at all. Like that is genuinely like that's a good story. It's a nice Persona 5 side story to read.
What was I going to ask you? For Persona 4, the anime, both of you, have you guys watched it dubbed or subbed?
I watched it dubbed.
Dubbed.
Okay. I don't know if anyone doesn't watch the dub for it. That dub is like such a 10 out of 10 and is so good. It is actually criminal that every other anime after that never got an English dub.
Oh yeah, Persona 4 anime dub is great.
Oh, sorry. I actually forgot. My
Did Persona 5 get
I was gonna say, I forgot I had a brain tumor called Persona 5 the animation. That dog shit was so bad.
Oh yeah.
The dub couldn't even save that. Oh my god. One of the worst adaptations.
I got to episode 9 before I gave up.
So bad. It should be studied how bad of a job one thing can be for. Oh my god. I forgot about that. That literally, you just gave me a fucking Vietnam flashback. I forgot how bad that was. But yes, that has a dub, and never forget that Aniplex has the fucking balls to charge $400 for that box set.
That's insane.
Oh my god.
I literally I know people who have.
Does the box set even come with the? Does it come with the OVA?
No, that's the best part. It's $400 for a box set that still has episodes missing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was fucking really bad. Oh, thanks for reawakening that wound, everybody. We talked about that one. I think that's it. And the last one I want to do is by hello. This will be our last question because it's kind of funny. I used to joke about I would so often get questions about Persona 6, and it was like, it seems so far off. It's like, why do you want to ask about, well, will this be in Persona 6, or what do you think about this? Should it be in Persona 6? Where it's like, it's funny, like, 2025 is, like, the first year where I really feel confident in just being like, yeah, like, this kind of feels like, kind of going back to what I said about Kingdom Hearts 4 and GTA 5, like, I'm not expecting P6 to be released this year, but I'm like, honestly, there are multiple times where I could see us realistically finally seeing that game this year. So, our question I want to end us out on, what do you want Atlus to do differently for Persona 6? So not what do you want to see, what do you want that is something we have not seen in previous games for this game? And just to make the easy options go off the table, we can't just say adults and we can't just say not high school anymore. I would like to see a drastic setting change. You can still be high schoolers. I want it to leave Japan. Like, full stop. Make it either fantasy or make it a different location. Like, copy it from Pokemon. For the love of God, take us to another continent. Because I think Atlus does some of the coolest stuff with their settings when they finally leave Japan.
Yeah, if they were to do that, then uh, I know that a thing that they do with these Persona games and their settings is that they actually study their settings like very like they have to know like their environment pretty well, which means that uh the development staff would probably have to spend some time abroad just to like study the setting. So that that does sound like a big ask, but it is something very interesting that would be neat as just as like a completely new thing. Alternatively, what you could do is just like have it set like if you were to still keep it in Japan, it would be cool to like just change the time period to like I don't know.
Even like do like a Raito thing, like make your own fictional time period based on something way older.
Yeah, that would honestly be cool too.
What about you, Nam?
I think because we'll be having a director that's not Katsura Hashino directing a brand new Persona game, I think that now would be a good time to introduce another structural shakeup, just like how 3 was a big shakeup from Eternal Punishment. I like the idea of directors leaving their own marks on this series and saying, this is what I think Persona is, like this is what Persona represents to me. And I feel like we've gotten so many of these calendar games, like they're good. Like I don't dislike the calendar system, but we've gotten so many of them, and now they're going into stuff that isn't Persona. That I think now we can, I think we can experiment a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Cause like when I played Persona 5 Royal for the first time, I enjoyed it, but I felt like the calendar formula was kind of getting stale.
I was just gonna ask when you were done. I was like, do they have the cojones to drop the calendar set? I think, especially in a post-metaphor world, I think that would be such a big move of, like you said, really shaking up the norms. I think that would be huge if they dropped the calendar system.
Well, here's the thing though, like they don't even necessarily have to drop the calendar system or social links or anything like that, but just a sort of like a huge change to like the formula itself. It's just like in general would be I don't know, like because I do kind of like the idea of like every 3 games just sort of like passing it off to the next generation, because like you got Persona 1 and then the 2 duology, and then you got Persona 3, 4, and 5. So like I don't know, like just every few games just sort of like making their own like just sort of like making their own legacy, I guess.
No, for sure.
Who knows? It could be even better.
Oh yeah, I mean, and again, you're not going to know unless you take those risks. Like similar to when they implemented it, that was really risky at the time, but look at how well it paid off for them for so long.
One that's crazy to me is when Nocturne first came out. Apparently, Japanese fans weren't a big fan of the change to the alignments.
Oh yeah.
They were also disappointed that it wasn't connected to SMT 1 and 2.
The lore. What about the lore implications?
Yeah, but it's like nowadays, I think a lot of people like really love Nocturne. Like it's like Demi-Fiend is just the SMT character.
Oh yeah, I mean to the point of like think of like Atlus basically had to jump over hoops to explain to people, hey, SMT5 is not connected to Nocturne, but we are including a hilarious amount of similarities.
We are going to explicitly say the phrase conception at one point.
Yeah, literally make a whole route based on conception.
We're gonna have an Amala drum too. It's kind of like the references to Strange Journey in SMT4. I still have yet to play Strange Journey.
Oh, gotta play Strange Journey. That's one of that. Strange Journey was one of the biggest things that gave me a boner for Atlus doing games in other settings than Japan, which only made it funnier when we finally got Deep Strange Journey and they got the game with a voice cast. We never got it with an English dub, so you're just listening to Hispanic people, black people, white people. Oh, they're all Japanese speakers now. It's like, god damn it, we were so close.
You're playing as a literal American.
We were so close. Yeah, Persona Q2 not getting a dub sucks. Strange Journey on 3DS not getting a dub is actually criminal. Like, that one sucked so hard.
I feel like Atlus definitely feel like they dodged a bullet by not giving Q2 a dub, because that game did horribly.
Yeah.
Imagine spending all that money on like Yuri Lowenthal, Laura Bailey, like Matt Mercer, Johnny Young Bosch, like all of them.
Laura Bailey,
And
what did you do
P5
before
cast.
playing Abby in The Last of Us Part 2? I was joking around with Yuri Lowenthal as a dinosaur head teenager.
Oh.
What a time to be alive. I mean, I would have just been happy to have Laura Bailey back, because never forget, she had to get replaced in her last thing she was in. That's when we got Ashley Birch as Rise, the most forgotten
so weird.
recast ever. But yes, what do you not want Atlus to do or do differently in Persona 6? Please let us know in the comments below. Bubbletea, Nom, thank you so much. We stayed and talked way too horrendously long. At least 3 hours were spent talking about Kingdom Hearts speedruns alone. But I feel like we got a lot done, and we talked about a lot of dumb stuff. But I appreciate having you guys on here. Where can people find you, or where do you want people to find you? Bubbletea, I'll let you go first.
I do have a Twitter, but I rarely look at that shit now for more than a minute. If there is a social media platform that you wanna like actually see me active on, just go on Bluesky.
You're skeeting.
Like I know
over
it's
there.
not I know it's not as like lively over there, but I kind of actually like that I have to actively seek out people to like find common interests with. I've actually found like a couple cool people that just like a small handful of people that I like, bantering with over there. It's peaceful.
And then obviously YouTube and all the other stuff, the monetizable stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No,
yeah,
only
watch-
follow me on
watch-
Bluesky. Do not watch my
only
videos,
follow me on
please.
Bluesky. Well, I thought you meant outside.
Oh no, anything. Yeah,
I
this
feel like-
is your chance to make that metaphor video finally get up to 6K. We gotta bump those numbers up.
Chance to show your YouTube.
Oh yeah, watch the UFO video, please.
Be like, why has Atlus never wanted to do a sponsorship with me ever again? Looks at video. God damn it. This is all your fault, community. You picked the wrong side. Actually, yeah, especially for both of you, do you have an idea of what your next video is, or do you have any teasers about what the next one might be you want to put out there?
I'm going to be making a video talking about remakes, and that is all I'm going to say.
I cannot wait to see how many times you say the word remaster in a video about remakes. That's all I'm going to say. Also, happy Oblivion 4 leaked everywhere day, everybody. Nom, what is your places where we can find your videos of you shitting on Final Fantasy 16 starring Ben Starr?
You could find my videos on my YouTube channel, Nom's Compendium. I like to talk about RPGs and action games. I bounce between the two. Most of the time it's RPGs though. In terms of like stuff I'm working on right now, I'm definitely working on a Devil May Cry related video. And then after that, I may or may not be finally making my big metaphor video, because I really like that game and I still have yet to finish.
Yeah, you're right. I
script.
forgot. Your video wasn't really you haven't done like a big video of it. Do you have an idea of like how long that might be?
Probably gonna be an hour.
That game is just so deep,
It
man.
depends.
Every time I like think about that game, it's one of those ones of like, that's another one actually was funny. That was one of the rare cases of a game I immediately ran a second playthrough of, jokingly thinking I could get the platinum without replaying the whole game again. Joke's on me. I've now played that game twice. But that was one of those funny ones like, man, Metaphor, even after all these ones, I still think about it as like such a good fucking game.
It's such a great game. I loved it.
And what's the best socials for you outside of YouTube?
Best socials for me, you could just find me on Twitter or Bluesky. I don't really tweet that. I don't post anything on Bluesky that much. I don't really use it. I also only like tweet once every few days. So you can follow me, just don't expect it to be anything like insanely active.
I mean, you get what you pay for. It's free, and you get nothing in return.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can hear me talk shit on stuff I don't like.
Hey, speaking of things that are free, everybody, thanks so much for listening to this free podcast. If you enjoyed it and have wondered how the hell has this man been doing this podcast for free for so many years, that is because of generous people like you helping make up for the lack of sponsored videos in my life. So if you enjoy the show and want me to give you some kudos or enjoy getting the show early, best way to support the show, patreon.com, patreon.com/SMTN. You can get the show early and a bunch of other perks for $1 and up, or if you want to be part of the Cool Kids Executive Producer Club and have me say your name at the end of every episode, it's $5 and up, and then you get that price. You get that title. You're now one of the elite Hollywood executive producers of this podcast. So shout out to all the cool kids in the $5 and up tier. So big shout outs and thank you to Rip the Jacker, Twist, John Massey, Jesus Coon, Crazy Sloth, Michael Wilson, Budweiser Tall Cans, Carlos Hernandez, Cross Renren, Winnie, Jagingus, Goro Cero, Solaire, Stephen Yip, and Patrick Dishart. For everyone who did the Patreon drive in March, thank you all so much for either being a new patron or upping your patron or just supporting me, even if it was just for 1 month. All that stuff really, really does help. And we got a bunch of new faces in, and I mailed off everybody's cards. And I am not expecting you to message me if you get them in, but I've gotten a couple of people either tweeting or DMing me, letting me know you got your cards. I appreciate hearing that greatly because I would feel very bad if your cards arrived damaged or got lost in the mail. So I appreciate getting the messages from everybody. But besides that, there are tons of free ways to support the show. We've got the Facebook group, we've got the Discord, YouTube channel, Apple reviews, Spotify reviews, basically anywhere you can find the show. Please think of subscribing, liking, leaving reviews. Tell your neighbor, your aunts, your uncles, your rabbis about us. They'll hate it, but you know what? It's one extra listen, and God knows I need it. So, enough listening to me babble. It was way too long. It's been a horrendously long show, but Nam, it was great catching up with you. Bubbletea, was fantastic meeting you and talking with you for the first time. I at least owe you... not a metaphor sticker, but I at least owe you a nice boba drink if we ever get to meet up now.
Oh, yeah. Likewise, dude. Great meeting you.
But yes, thank you guys for chatting. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you next week.
Yes. Thank you for having me on again.
Oh, of course. Will next week be a news-filled episode where we talk about a demo from a game multi-months old? Or maybe Spencer got Ben Starr to come on the show and talk about Expedition 33. I hope it's the latter, but it's probably not. Goodbye, everybody. That was the end. That was the hilarious joke of me lying at the end of the show, and then I fade away the credits.